What's up, YouTube?
What's up, YouTube?
And
Sorry.
Back with another
Drink and Thinks.
Yes.
And I would like everyone to know that everything I know, I learned
the streets.
Wait.
You gotta come up this way towards me.
Yeah.
There you go.
On the streets.
She learned it on the streets.
Everything I learned it on the streets.
Let's just make sure that we good. Okay, we good.
Y'all can hear me, right?
Yeah, they can hear you.
Kathy!
What's up, Kathy?
My baby.
She says, hi, dynamic duo. I've missed you all so much. We missed you too, Kathy.
We have missed you, Kathy. It's been a while, man. So my mom came to visit us in Chicago, from Chicago, with my sister. They surprised us. In fact, I wish we need to put a video up of how it went down because it was a really cute video. Mm. Can you show them the video real quick?
Yep.
It's on my Facebook. And then my sister surprised me as well. Hi, Nefertiti. And then Najee's dad came and surprised us. Then Najee's sister came and we had a lot of visitors. Yep. So we've had a lot of visitors. We've been really focused on that. We're in a new house. We're going to have our housewarming soon. So it's, I think you passed it. It's Rena Ganya. Yeah. But in any case, we've been having a great time with our family and just seeing everybody. That's it. And so on and so forth. So now I'm just going to show you the video of my mom surprising me. Y'all going to see me ugly cry. Get ready for it. Nefertiti, don't make fun of me.
All right, here we go.
Gotta take off the mute. There you
What's
go.
up? All right.
Oh, you can't hear it.
Wait, why is it not done? Interesting.
Oh, this one, right? Camera C, click this. Click Lorena's iPhone. There you go.
Shoulder.
I'm a beast.
Yeah.
Are y'all ready? She said, I would never.
She actually think y'all not here. She actually think y'all not here.
Doing fine. Start from the top. All right, sorry. Now just gonna press play and move his fingers.
She actually think y'all not here. She actually think y'all not here.
He was surprised with me.
Camera recording. I knew it! I knew you, baby! Big baby. Aww. We got you so good. You need to look in the car.
No, I want to say you did way better than I thought that I would have did. Like,
hold on, I'm gonna fast forward just a little because it's gonna be long, and I don't feel like having it.
Walked around to the back, I'm like, oh, she really don't hear so well. She did good.
I know this house smells so good.
Thank you, Mom.
And it's beautiful. I'm so excited.
Look, I'm about to cry again.
Turban and all.
Turban and all. Thanks, Mom. She just loves to be slick with me. But yeah. My mom's hilarious. I love her. I did have a turban on. I just washed my hair. And I put turbaned my hair into the little towel. So, all right. So that's part of what we were doing these last couple of weeks. I miss my mom already. So, but okay, guys. But today is about something completely different. Today we're gonna recap on Alex Murdaugh, and Naj found something else for us to learn. Obviously, we weren't able to come in and talk to you guys and watch the verdict with you guys, but we all know what happened. So, but we'll recap a couple of things and then move on to the next thing because unfortunately, crime and murder continues.
Yeah.
Runs rampant.
Yep. So, this one's a pretty longer video, but it's a good recap video, I think.
41?
Yeah, so it's it breaks it down into chapters though.
Okay,
So yeah,
let's do it.
41. But I think it'd be interesting to fast forward and just to see what was all going on and such. So let's go ahead and hold on, let me make sure I got it pulled up right quick. All right, and we're gonna fast forward. We're gonna move around a little bit. All right.
Yeah, I got it. Just really wanted it on the other side, huh?
Yeah, it was played. All right, here we go.
X out and F.
All right. All right.
Let's see what this little fart did.
Wow.
You know, oh, what a tangled web we weave. But once I told a lie, I told my family, I had to keep lying.
From revealing tapes to shocking admissions on the stand, Ann Jeanette Levy and I go through all the twists and turns of the Alec Murdaugh murder trial.
Dang, they put him in a
Welcome to
suit.
Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. After 6 weeks, dozens of witnesses, hundreds of pieces of evidence, and an incredible verdict, we are reflecting on the Alec Murdaugh trial. The man accused of murdering his wife Maggie and son Paul by shooting them to death on their family property back on June 7th, 2021. And what a trial it was. This was a case that had everyone talking. Everyone. Even people who don't follow true crime were asking about this. All the major news outlets were covering it. How often?
Speaking, Raina had a whole conversation with someone randomly
Let me tell y'all
about
something.
this case.
Let me tell you guys about me, because I'm silly. I went to go print something. I needed to print my lease from something. I need to print it. And I was like, okay, let me figure out what to do, because we're like in this small little town now, and I had to print it. And they were like, all right, go over there to like print the documents, for it. So I was like, all right, I'll go to this little copy shop. And it was like literally a little copy shop. Like it had like a little door, a little standing area, and he just prints stuff. And I'm gonna tell you, Sean, he came out, I come in, I'm listening. I'm like, what the hell is this man listening to? And it sounded like something real. It sounded like there was people really there. Long story short, he was listening to the Alex Murdaugh trial, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, and mind you, Sean is this older, very southern Texas white man. And here I am. I was like in my work clothes, and I was like, are you listening to Alex Murdaugh? And he's like, yeah. I was like, so do you think he did it? And all of a sudden, we ended up having like 20 minutes where we're yelling with excitement at each other. I'm like, yeah, because da. He's like, yeah, da. I was like, yeah, I like Sean. Do you think he's going to get convicted? He's like, yeah. I was like, I don't know, man. And then he's like, you can have it for free. You ain't got to pay me. I was like, well, how much was it? $3. I'm like, if that man gets convicted, I'm bringing you $5. So anybody, I owe that man $5. I'm going to go find him. I haven't taken, I went there. I actually went there to give him the $5, but he closed early. He closed. I was actually going to give him the $5.
That's funny.
I was. And Shayla was with me. So me and this man was kicking it. We had a good old time at the end. He was like, you ain't got to pay for that, girl.
That's funny. It's crazy.
I'm saying you can connect with anybody through true crime, okay? We can all become friends.
Yeah.
I had the greatest time with him. He was probably like 65, 30, 70 or something.
Yeah. Yeah. Objective things is it unites everyone, Sports, like all type of things that people can, see regardless of who you are, age gap, all those different things like that involves a lot of different people. So
where's my $5? Kathy said. Right. Did I bet you, Kathy, too? Because I will sell you right now, girl.
That's funny.
Did I promise Kathy some moolah? Because I would.
Appreciate it.
Ow! I'm sorry. I'm cutting my nails and I hurt myself.
Let's get back to it.
Do you see CNN and Fox News both
Trish!
streaming testimony?
What's up, Trish? Oh wait.
Trish.
What's going on, Trish?
We miss you, Trish.
Look, I don't got nothing in front of my face. My hand's down, so.
Treat my baby with respect, okay?
Yeah.
And arguments in real time. And here at Long Crime, here at Sidebar, we followed every second of it with play-by-play analysis. And boy, oh boy, is there a lot to get into. So
Yes, let's
we are going to
go.
do a full recap of the Alec Murdaugh trial, and who better to join me than my partner in crime here on Sidebar, my co-host, someone who is inside that courtroom in South Carolina, law and crime correspondent, Anjanette Levy. Anjanette, good to see you.
Oh, she doesn't have her glasses on.
Before she say some words, let's get back over here.
Oh!
Kathy.
Come through, Kathy. Here's my $5. I'm going to put it on the screen for her so
Yes,
everybody can
thank
see.
you.
Here's my $5 for the awesome judge prosecution. Oh, Kathy, I heard that they really did a great job in the end. So shout out to them. Shout out to you. We love you. Let's go and find out how well they actually did.
Appreciate the $5 super chat. Chapter R.
Yes, we appreciate it. All right, let's get back to it right here. We gotta get through at least a full minute, baby, because it's been a minute and 29 seconds.
To see you, Jesse.
All right, you know where I'm going to start? We're going to start with the opening statements. So this is where they laid out the case. Here is some of what Prosecutor Creighton Waters had to say.
About 8:50 p.m., and the defendant over there, Alec Murdaugh, took a 12-gauge shotgun and shot him in the shoulder, in the chest and the shoulder with buckshot. And the evidence is going to show it was a 1,000,000-to-1 shot. He could have survived that, but after that, another shot went up under his head and did catastrophic damage to his brain and his head.
That was the song, right?
Yeah.
The evidence is going to show that Paul collapsed right outside that feed room. And just moments later, he picked up a .300 Blackout, which is a type of ammunition, but an AR-style rifle. And the evidence is going to show that the family had multiple weapons throughout the property. Picked up that .300 Blackout rifle and opened fire on his wife, Maggie, just feet away near some sheds that used to be a hangar. Pow,
I
pow.
also saw him.
Two
kill
shots,
him.
abdomen in the leg, and took her down. And after that, there were additional shots, including 2 shots to the head that again did catastrophic damage and killed her instantly. The evidence is going to show that
Paul's head
neither
is literally blown
Paul
off.
nor Maggie had any defensive wounds. Neither one of them had any defensive wounds, as if they didn't see a threat coming from their attacker.
And then defense attorney Dick Harpootlian provided the opening statement for Alec Murdaugh.
Here is the law. He didn't do it. He is presumed innocent. Officers arrived that night. There's no blood on him. They didn't find any blood on him. SLED's testing indicated 12 different places on his shirt and pants. No human blood detected. Period. Because there's no direct evidence. There's no eyewitness.
I agree now.
There's no camera. There's no fingerprints. There's no forensics tying him to the crime. None.
Yeah, he
So,
cleaned
Andrew,
it up.
it seemed to me that this was a tough case for the prosecution, right? From the beginning, you know, there's no physical evidence, there's no murder weapons, there's no forensics, especially given, you know, the explosive force of these blasts. There was really nothing on Alec Murdaugh except GSR, gunshot residue, but that was questionable. Walk me through what you thought of the beginning of this case and as it was progressing, that maybe the prosecution didn't have everything.
Well, in the beginning, whenever these types of cases happen, the family member or the person closest to the people is usually the prime suspect. So we can safely say that Alec Murdaugh that night was more than likely a prime suspect, but they also had to look at other possibilities, including the boat case. And it really just seemed very unusual that we didn't hear anything about having found murder weapons or him having anything on him. There had been some information leaked during the case before the trial had started that there was blood spatter on his T-shirt. We later found out, from the defense before the trial that that's not true, that the T-shirt was destroyed in testing. And so Dick Harpootlian sought to have that piece of evidence excluded from the trial. So something we thought might be true, something we had heard leaked through anonymous sources in some media reporting, turned out to not be true, according to the defense. So it seemed like, wow, if you made that mistake, what else went wrong? Or what evidence do you actually have linking Alec Murdaugh to these homicides, other than the fact that he is the spouse and father of the two victims, and he had been with them that evening?
And it's might be tough to get past the idea of a father brutally murdering his son and wife. And that goes into a significant piece of evidence, two significant pieces of evidence: the Snapchat video that was taken off of Paul's phone from earlier in the night of the murders. And then there's the video of Alec Murdaugh's birthday party from about a week prior. So for me, I'm looking at that and thinking, you know, it's tough for the prosecution, for this man who's having such nice moments with his family, literally on the night, to then just savagely kill them. Did you feel that was a challenge for the prosecution?
I think it was.
I don't know. I mean, in my opinion, Autumn Rain.
What's up, Autumn?
Rain on me.
Wow.
Rain on me. Anyway, hi Autumn, we miss you. In regards to the videos of Paul, I feel like it kind of just sucks. But it wouldn't mean he couldn't do that. Look how happy he is. I mean, man, we've seen some shit.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is, when it comes to those type of those things, you can frame it in a lot of different ways. You know, I can imagine being up there and saying, you know, all that was part of his scheme to make him look very normal and look, see, there was nothing wrong, nothing happened. He was very happy with them, taking pictures, making videos, and all these type of things. Like, that's a pretty good, what would you call that? Plot, what's the word when you're trying to set something
Getting
up?
people off your trail, I don't know.
Yeah, like, even for the family to make it seem like nothing's up, you know what I mean? But, like, that's a great way to prepare yourself for something that you know you're getting ready to do, to make everything look normal, make it look like there's nothing that can be found to make them question you, you know, so.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to it. I think this is it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that, you know, especially when you're a juror, and us watching these things, we bring our own experiences to the table, and we view these things through our own lenses. And we're supposed to be open-minded, and we are, but it does seem odd that you would see a father and son on a Snapchat video an hour or so,
alibi,
potentially a little longer than that, before the homicides, and then
Pause right quick. Like, that's
shout out to Trish.
Thank you, Trish. That's literally what I was looking for. I couldn't come up with it. I was like, what is it called? Alibi. Thank you.
Person is supposed to be taking a shotgun to his son's head and literally blowing his brain out of his head. You know, the defense kept hammering on that during the opening statement and other portions of the trial, that listen to how brutal this was. This is only somebody who would be full of anger and rage who could do something like this. And Alec Murdaugh wasn't that person, according to the prosecution, but the state, you know, says he's our guy.
He made the defense.
And look, I think it's also important to note with that Snapchat video, the change of clothes. So when Alec Murdaugh is ultimately interviewed by police, and in fact, when they first come on the scene, he's wearing a white t-shirt and shorts, which is very different than what he's wearing in that Snapchat video. And the reason I talk about that is because another piece of important testimony was that of Blanca Simpson. This is the Murdaugh housekeeper. And she talked about an unusual conversation she had with Alec Murdaugh after he was confronted with that Snapchat video by investigators.
And he was pacing back and forth in the living room, and he said, I got a bad feeling. He said, I got a bad feeling. He said, something's not right. And then he said, well, you know, there's a video. There was a video that was out. I hadn't seen a video. And he said, you remember the shirt I was wearing, that Vinnie Vine shirt? That's what he said to me. And in my mind, I was saying, I don't remember Vinnie Vine's shirt. It was the polo shirt. But I didn't mention, he said, well, you know what, I was wearing that shirt. He said, you know, in the that day. And still, I was just,
Damn.
I didn't say anything, but I was kind of thrown back because I don't remember that. I don't remember him wearing that shirt that day.
So it basically seems, according to her, that he was trying to
Rewind real quick.
Well, you know, in the living room.
conversation she had with Alec Murdaugh after he was confronted with that Snapchat video by investigators.
And he was pacing back and forth in the living room, and he said, "I got a bad feeling." He said, "I got a bad feeling." He said, "Something's not right." And then he said, "Well, you know, there's a video. There was a video that was out. I hadn't seen a video." And he said, "You remember the shirt I was wearing, that Vinnie Vine shirt?" That's what he said to me. And in my mind, I was saying, I don't remember Vinnie Vine's shirt. It was the polo shirt. But I didn't mention. He said, "Well, you know what? I was wearing that shirt." He said, "You know, in the
Yeah, he was trying
that
to
day."
lie.
And still, I was just, I didn't say anything, but I was kind of thrown back because I don't remember that. I don't remember him wearing that shirt that day.
So it basically seems, according to her, that he was trying to get her to say what he was wearing that day when he really wasn't. I mean, Anjanette, what did you make of her testimony?
I remember that part. I remember us talking about the reasoning for someone to bring that up randomly.
Mm-hmm.
To just say, I got a bad feeling, like, you remember that shirt. Like, there's so many other ways to attack that. Yeah, we had a good
My
little
wine just did something
What?
weird.
We had a good little conversation about that. And it's like, if you're really trying to, and I guess maybe you're under stress in a moment, but like, one would think that you could come up with something like, hey, I can't find that shirt I had on, or, you know, that shirt I had on earlier today. Like, do you remember where I put it? You remember that, what was it, the polo, or is that
Vinnie Vines.
Vinnie Vines? You remember that Vinnie Vines shirt I had on earlier today? I can't find it anywhere. Like, where was it? Or, you know, something
I
that,
was like, you ain't had no damn Vinnie Vines shirt on.
right, but like something that's not as suspicious. You know, something
Right,
that
like
makes
you
more
just
sense.
saying something. You remember I was wearing the Vinnie Vines. They're saying I had on a different shirt, but you saw the Vinnie Vines, right? Something's weird. You don't remember this, right? Like, you're not gonna make me remember some shit I didn't see.
At least
Killer.
insinuated and make it seem as you said killer.
I'm just saying,
like,
like,
reason for it. You want to skip a little bit?
yeah, it's too long.
Yeah, very long.
We're gonna go to why would he kill his family, because this to me is like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I know you guys already know this because you guys watched it, but let's get to it. Okay.
Very quickly.
Yeah, and that is something you wonder whether the jury will find significant enough to make their decision. I will tell you one of the things,
I'm having
one of the things that we really haven't
cookies and
touched
cream ice
upon
cream.
yet is why would Alec Murdaugh want to kill
Yeah,
Maggie
why?
and Paul, right? So now the prosecution's
to that.
theory was that he killed his family to distract away from his alleged financial crimes from being exposed, because at the time that Maggie and Paul were killed, there were inquiries into his finances related to a lawsuit that he was facing. He was stealing money from his clients and his law firm, and the idea was that he was about to be exposed. So as a way to buy time, as a way to get everyone to rally behind him,
Look how
so his
she's looking at
secrets
him.
wouldn't be revealed, he
Look
kills
how
his
she
family.
is looking at him.
And you know what? The judge allowed. The idea was that he was about to be exposed, so as a way to buy time, as a way to get everyone to rally behind.
Mama is like, you dirty dog. Look how she looking at him. And she is just staying on him. Sorry.
Him, so his secrets wouldn't be revealed. He kills his family. And you know what? The judge allowed this evidence in. And it was significant evidence. It was something to look at. I'll give everybody an example. Here's the CFO of Alec Murdaugh's former law firm, who confronted him on the day of the killings, hours before Maggie and Paul were killed, about missing money.
When we went in his office, I told him, I have reason to believe that you received the Ferris money directly to you, and you need to prove to me that you did not. And he assured me again that the money was in there. I told him I still needed to see the ledgers or the proof that it was.
after the murders happened, was anybody at all concerned about getting the proof for those missing fees after those murders happened at that point in time?
We weren't, because we were concerned about Alec. He wasn't working a whole lot. He was erratic. We knew he was taking pills. We were just worried about his sanity, so we weren't going to go in there and harass him about money.
So maybe that's the reason. Maybe he was just high, because to get away from your financial situation, your solution is to off your family.
Remember that video we watched? It was either Mr. Ballin, Brittany Vaughn, or Bailey Sarian. Don't know which one it was, but it was one of the B's. And there was the son who was lying about being in college and getting a job. And he had lied to his fiance, who he proposed to, even though he didn't have the money to take care of her.
I think that was Mr. Ballin.
And he decides to tell his mom so she can help him with his lie. Like, Mom, I'm going to tell you everything. Because me and you have become so much closer since Dad died. And he tells her he's been lying about being in college. He actually got kicked out. He's been lying about his job because he can't get the job because he's a convicted felon. And he got the job, but then he became a convicted, they said no because they did a background check and they didn't want him anymore. And he needs her to give him loads and loads of money so he can keep up the lie as if he's at work. So he's like, I'm confessing to you. This is what I need. Anyway. Yeah, I think that was SpaceX. Yes, Nefertiti. Anyway, he goes, and when she says, no, I'm not going to help you, he kills her.
Like, think about this logic.
He kills his mom and his brothers.
Snap. I'm in financial ruin. What should I do? I'm finna smoke my family.
No, actually, people do that a lot for, like, life insurance, but that's not what he did
But that's my point, though. Like, it's one thing if it was that, which is still stupid, but it's one, it's 2023. You're not getting away with crimes. Like, I'm sorry,
people
but, like,
get away
you
with crimes,
can,
baby.
especially, like, in destitute and very, like, impoverished, is that the right word? Impoverished neighborhoods and such, because they're not necessarily trying to solve crimes. If anything, they don't really care about it. But your solution to your specific financial situation is to off somebody in your family that you care about, not for what you just said, life insurance, but just because, especially for this fool, to say that it's going to save time. You better off fleeing the country and going on a run. Like, you about to go to jail for the rest of your life. If not, where are they located? I don't know if it's a death penalty anywhere there. But, like,
South Carolina definitely got that.
It sounds like they got the death penalty. Yeah. But, and that's your solution. Like, that's the best you can come up with. Mm-hmm. The best.
Yep.
But, I don't know.
It's wild out here in these streets.
When we were worried about his mental state and the fact that his family had been killed.
And Anjanette, we heard from other witnesses too, like Mark Tinsley, who represented the Mallory Beach family that was suing Alec Murdaugh for the boat crash in which she died, and then he was trying to get a hold of Alec Murdaugh's finances, and he said, look, if he was really a real victim of this, the case would have been lost. I mean, no jury wouldn't have sided with us. And that was a big win for the prosecution, right?
Oh, I think it was huge. And they didn't get just a little bit of this let in. They got every last bit of it let in. And it took up another week or two of the trial because we had the hearing outside the presence of the jury. So the judge could decide whether or not this would help the jury when looking at motive. It was not admitted for character evidence. The jurors were told they could only consider this for motive. But still, even if you're only able to consider it for motive, it makes him look like a terrible human being. And how do you really separate that when it comes down to it?
Right.
He could be a thief. It doesn't make him a murderer.
And the jury heard a lot. I mean, they didn't just hear about the finances. They heard about the September 2021 roadside shooting where Alec Murdaugh essentially got a cousin of his to shoot him in the head. The idea being that the life insurance proceeds would go to his surviving son, Buster Murdaugh. Alec Murdaugh admitted that to police. I mean, he first lied about it, said that he was shot by a stranger, then eventually came clean. So now the jury's left with this idea of, look at all these elaborate plots he gets into when he finds himself in trouble, and he has a propensity to lie to ultimately law enforcement about this. I will tell you, I want to go into something else, and that is the defense. Because the defense, they focused on problems in the investigation. They focused on a lack of direct evidence. And they also brought in their own experts to suggest the shooting maybe wasn't quite like the prosecutor suggested.
That whoever shot this shot, or these shots, well, first of all, the quail pen shot was 5'2" to 5'4".
That is the most likely explanation, yes.
Okay.
My opinion is the totality of the evidence is more suggestive of a two-shooter scenario. And that the individual who shot first with the shotgun minimally was stunned, probably blood and material in his eyes, and maybe have been injured, and would have taken some degree of time to recover. Why would one shooter bring two long rifles, two long weapons to the event? You can't handle and shoot two of them.
So, Anjanette, the shooter could have been shorter than Alec Murdaugh, who's 6'4". Maybe there were two shooters. They even suggested that the angles of attack were different than the prosecution suggested.
6'4".
Now, we know the prosecution fought back on this a little bit, but what did you take away from all that? Did you think it was effective?
Hi, Patrice.
I thought it was interesting. I know you can tell a lot about trajectories and stuff. They get out the rods, they do some of the laser stuff on the computer mock-ups. So I thought it was interesting. But at the end of the day, I still kind of, you hear these things in court and then you think about it and then it sits and kind of, ruminates in your mind for a little bit and you think about it. And I kind of thought, even after Palmbach testified, the one defense expert, and after hearing from Dr. Kinsey, the state's expert, I kind of thought, I don't know if I buy any of this, because I think the shooter could have been any height. It didn't really impress me that much, because there are so many things that could affect how you hold a weapon.
Oops.
What just happened?
Hold up.
You changed us from this to this.
From Dr. Kinsey, the state's expert, I kind of thought, I don't know if I buy any of this, because I think the shooter could have been any height. It didn't really impress me that much, because there are so many things that could affect how you hold a weapon, how you might be firing it, your positioning, things like that. So I was just kind of whatever. I mean, even with the 5'2" stuff, there are probably ways that could change depending on how.
Yeah, that's a poor argument.
I wanted to hear the rest of it. I'm sorry, real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Because she was getting to the point that we all
understanding whether or not, just kind of whatever. I mean, even with the 5'2" stuff, there are probably ways that could change depending on how you're standing, whether or not you're, crouched down or holding the gun up here or holding it down here. So I wasn't overly impressed by all of the height.
Yeah.
That's
I
very
agree, because I was
poor argument on the half of talking about the. So, for example,
random cup of water back here.
Yeah, I need my water.
What the heck? So that's relevant, recent water, huh?
H2O.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bendy!
So, for example, imagine trying not to get caught, right? Let's just say he planned this out. Why would, if he was smart, right? Why would he specifically just go into the situation doing everything he could to get caught? I would think if you were trying to be specific, or you were trying to
look like you're not doing what you're doing.
Right. One would think, I think somebody brought up, or maybe it was you, shooting at the hip, right? That's a very common
I didn't bring it up. I read someone's comment.
Somebody said it, shooting at the hip.
I was thinking they were sitting down.
I think Kathy said sitting in the golf cart. There's a lot of different things. You can shoot at different angles. A gun is not that heavy. You can position it. You can do all type of crazy stuff to make sure that you get away with it, right?
Side note, guys, if you're in here, make sure you like. We got 7 people in here, but only 5 and 8.
Yes, please like.
Show us a little
like it up. Like it up. So you can position the gun to look. You can shoot the gun with your offhand, right, at a different angle, so that they would never suspect it's you. There's a lot of things that you can do. So I just feel like that's a poor argument. And I get why it's an easy argument to try to make, but I don't think it's a poor one to stick with. Side notes, what's up to our good people? What's up, Patrice and Bendy?
Patrice!
What is going on?
The real Patrice, that's not your name. That's not the name
switched it
you
up.
had.
Yeah, it wasn't.
What was the name you had? Is this Junebug? No, I can't.
That's Junebug.
That's Junebug?
Yeah.
Changed up her name on me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, Junebug's real name Patrice? I was like, I feel like it's somebody.
Yeah.
I not know that picture.
Yeah, I remember the picture for sure.
She tried to trick me.
Switch it up, yeah. Because remember, it was like, that's like a common name, like in the South.
Yeah, I know.
Like
I remember our whole combo.
Yeah.
Our baby changed us up. It's still weird to me that the whole big ass place has no cameras anywhere. My 1,000 square foot home has like 5 cameras, right? That's what, listen, we got like 3 in here. Mm-hmm. I want more. So, yes, it's me, Junebug. You thought I was going to forget who you was, girl. I know my Junebug. Yes. Anyway, sorry. It was a test ring. You passed. Y'all know I be good. Look, I got a noodle, okay?
She has that photogenic memory, especially for y'all.
It was a while.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm like that at work, too.
Mm-hmm.
It was funny. This person was like, you probably don't remember me. I was like, no, I do remember you.
Oh,
You're the person. You. I literally was like this. No, I do remember you. You're the one that came in and you opened your account like a year ago. And your son is from like Barbados and he came in with you. And then you also had moved from Michigan. And then you live around the corner. The lady was like this. Okay, you do remember me. I'm like, yeah. She was like, well, I feel like I should just be like, working with you. I'm like, no, I'm just the manager. You go ahead and go work with my employees, lady. They remember you too. All right, let's go.
Let's
check out this roadside shooting. This is what I want to see. I've been waiting for this one.
What's that?
The roadside shooting is coming up in this.
Oh, go ahead. I don't know what that's about.
I do. Stuff in this case.
All right. Well, let's get into the bombshell. Alec Murdaugh, would he not? He decided to take the stand, and my gosh, in the first 5 minutes, not even the first...
I'm sorry. Look at this. These kids.
Oh
someone stole my account, so I had to... I didn't even know people stole YouTube accounts.
You know, my TikTok just got deleted.
Stupid.
Mine was just starting to grow a lot daily, and it just got... I tried to log in. I didn't even try to log in. I just tried to tap on the app, and they said your account is banned. And I just post educational fitness content and eating. I don't know. Social media.
Some people don't want all that good love. Okay.
I guess
they don't want that.
So it's a common thing. Welcome to the internet.
Here go Benny. SOS. Same old shit.
That's funny.
I'm gonna use that, Benny. That was funny. Nefertiti. Every once in a while, we try to trick them. I still think about changing my PFP to be the drama again. Remember when Neff changed her shit and you were so confused?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I do actually now. Yeah, I do remember that.
Neff had a whole different picture, and you were like, no, that's not. I'm like, that, she is, like, dude, that is.
I got to give myself some props for recognizing what the acronym PFP is. I was like, what is that? I've never heard of
Profile
that.
picture.
I know, and I had to put 2 and 2 together.
I'll be honest, I didn't know until you said it. I mean, I said it, but when you said put in the acronym together,
Context
I was like,
clues, yeah. And then drama.
Profile picture, brother. Listen, Neff's younger than us, right? Neff, you're younger than us. Y'all.
I'm gonna be like my buddy, and I say not disclose my age. So
no, that's stupid. Now she's 33.
Wow.
Because you're a guy, like just be.
No, it was a joke. I was gonna say it.
I know. But I'm 27.
Oh.
Never mind. I'm 42.
Oh.
I'm just gonna go hard each
I'm
direction.
I'm not gonna be like you. I ain't
Okay.
gonna.
Let's hurry up and get to
Wow.
this. Oh, we're the same age. Okay.
All right. Well, let's get into the bombshell. Alec Murdaugh, would he not? He decided to take the stand, and my gosh, in the first 5 minutes, not even the first 5 minutes, listen to what he had to say.
Mr. Griffin, I didn't shoot my wife or my son anytime. Ever.
Mr. Murdaugh, is that you? On the kennel video at 8:44 p.m. on June 7th, the night Maggie and Paul were murdered.
It is.
Were you in fact at the kennels at 8:44 p.m. on the night Maggie and Paul were murdered?
I was.
I will.
Did you lie to SLED Agent Owen and Deputy Laura Rutland on the night of June 7th and told them that you stayed at the house after dinner?
I did lie to them. As my addiction evolved over time, I would get in these situations or circumstances where I would get paranoid.
Not only does he admit to being at the crime scene after lying about it continuously, again, prosecutors say Maggie and Paul were killed just minutes later, but he even admits to lying and stealing from his clients and his law firm. Anjanette, that was incredible. That was incredible. Were you expecting that?
I expected him to admit to it because I thought that he had to say, I'm a thief, but I'm not a murderer. I've screwed up in my life. I've done really bad things. I'm a drug addict. I was doing terrible, terrible things, but I did not kill my wife and son. And I felt like he had to take the stand because he's the only one that can explain the kennel video and the fact that he lied. He lied continuously and repeatedly about being down at the kennels. So I wasn't incredibly shocked. I thought it was really risky for him to take the stand, but at the end of the day, how could he not? Because the jury would just be left to, draw a conclusion that this guy lied. At least he tried to get up there and owned that he lies.
And Creighton Waters, the prosecutor, certainly wanted to create the impression that you cannot believe Alec Murdaugh now.
The reality is, Mr. Murdaugh, is the reason why no one's ever heard that before is because you had to sit in this courtroom and hear your family and your friends, one after the other, come in and testify that you were on that kennel video. So you, like you've done so many times over the course of your life, had to back up and make a new story that kind of fit with the facts that can't be denied. Isn't that true, sir?
No, sir, that's not true.
He dropped the mic.
And that cross-examination was something in and of itself, Anjanette.
Yeah, it went on for a really long time. I thought that he got too into the weeds with the cross-examination on the financial crimes issues. And I thought to myself, why he keeps saying the same answer, and he's going to say the same thing. Yes, I did bad things. I stole from my clients. Yes, I did this. I thought it was too much, but then he got into the night of the murders and all of these other things. So, it was an interesting cross at points. At points, it seemed like it was going on way too long, but, each person has their own style.
She seemed bored.
Well, after all the evidence was presented, after all the closing arguments, with so much to consider, it was in the hands of the jury, and I will be the first to tell you I thought it was going to be a hung jury. I didn't even think that this jury was going to make a unanimous decision because there were so many things on both sides for them to really analyze. At the very least, I thought they would deliberate for days upon days upon days. Nope. I was wrong. I was very wrong because the jury came back with a verdict after less than 3 hours.
The State versus Richard Alexander Murdaugh, defendant. Indictment for murder, SC Code 16-3-0010, CDR Code 0116.
Okay.
Guilty verdict.
That was surprising to me, Anjanette. Maybe not necessarily the verdict, but the timing was surprising. What was your reaction? What was your reaction, also the feeling in court?
All right, let's pause this because we have some comments. We got to get back to this. I will say, here, Autumn just put up a comment that I really want to dig into. I know my comment won't be popular, and I admit I haven't seen everything. But if I was on the jury, I would have voted to acquit. Not saying he's innocent. I just don't see enough showing his guilt. So I'm with you, Autumn, to an extent. In regards to the fact that I've not seen everything. I've not. I do know there's just loads and loads and loads of more information. I also know that by popular opinion, people believe he's guilty. But I also know that this is someone's life. Yeah. This is a human being. This could be it. Like, this could be it for the rest. I mean, if we make a mistake and I'm part of this jury, I need to feel unreasonable doubt. And I do agree that the motive is just not strong enough for me. I believe he could have done it. But his motive, like, I need to know, like, why would that be why? And I get, we just brought up the example of how crazy people can get. Did you have this on the whole time? Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm like, what just happened to you? Anyway, I get it, but
yeah, so
it's just so weird.
So it's very interesting because I think that Autumn, you just made my point that I didn't even know was my point, so to speak, because I brought up how stupid it would be for someone to off their whole family, right, to save time or to basically hide the fact that there's some information coming out about like your financial situation, all the things that you've done. So in a sense, it's like, why would someone make the decision to get rid of their family in order to buy themselves some time
for the inevitable,
for something that's going to come out, but also on top of that, for no longer having a family if there was really nothing wrong with your family. Like if you really loved and cared about your wife and your kids.
Look at those videos of his son, him and his son having the greatest relationship ever.
Right. So it's like, it seems like that wasn't the intention, because I just really wanted to just off these people. I wanted them gone. It's more so they're saying the reason for him to do so was because he needed to buy himself time. So, I just think that if that is the reasoning, that's the most stupidest thing that I could imagine a person doing.
Especially an attorney.
Right, exactly.
But he is on drugs. He is a crackhead.
Which is why I say he must have been high. He must have been.
He's not a crackhead. I just wanted to call him one.
He must have been high to make this decision. So it's like, and there's so many other better ways of handling it if it really was to save yourself time. Like, go on the run. Do the race. If you don't know what that's about. But, like, I just don't understand the reasoning. Like, why would that, like, what would be the, and again, that's a lot that we missed.
I want to know who feels that that's really the reason he did this is because of financial crimes. Like, I think that I can believe he did it. I certainly can. But the problem is that the reason they presented just was not strong enough for me.
And maybe he's just like not there all the way, because you can be very smart as far as book smart and have like a very unique, locked in education and skill set in one area, but not overall smart as a street smart person, a well-rounded person, a person that knows how to handle themselves in all situations. So with that being said, one thing that I'm curious about is, like, for example, like if I was in a situation, right, where, this is just an example, but if there was something that I know that I did that was wrong or that was financially wrong or something like that, like 9 times out of 10, it would be something I have done for my family, right? Because I don't necessarily need a ridiculous amount of money for myself. But if there's a reason for me to commit like a crazy financial crime that I know have temporary benefits but long-term, detriments or problems, it's probably due to me being in a situation where I need to do something for my family. So I wouldn't necessarily put myself in a position to commit that crime knowing that I'm going to have to deal with it later, and then my solution is to get rid of my family, which is the people that I did it for in the first place. So I'm just like trying to think logically, why would I be in a situation where I would want to get rid of my family if that's the people that I did this crime for? Do you get what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, why would I get rid of my family if these are the people that I'm doing this crime for, knowing that it's a crime, but I'm doing it for the betterment of their situation? Unless he's just a criminal.
My mother taught
you're just a criminal.
My mother taught me at a very young age to not try to understand crazy people.
That's true.
Because you're not crazy. And it'll never make sense to you if you're not that. So, like, understanding the mind of a criminal or a murderer is pretty hard when it's not done in self-defense or for some, if you can say, like, noble reason. Like, yeah, I killed him because, you know, he assaulted my child. Like, okay, get it. But, like, killed him because I have a lot of money that I owe people and I need to, like, buy time. Like, our brains can't freaking compute. Like, I can't get it. I think he's a jerk, but again, I just don't think the case is proving just because you're a jerk doesn't mean you're a killer. Junebug said, but did he say he blacked out while taking drugs? I don't know if he said he blacks out while taking drugs. I don't know.
Keep in mind, everything I said is also missing a lot of information because there's a lot that I didn't see. And this is just me trying to think of a reasoning for someone to do such a thing.
Nefertiti said, from how one of the sisters that Alex screwed over put it, she didn't even know he had 2 sons because he only mentioned Buster, not Paul.
I did see that, something about like $1 million or something, and it was actually, I think it's in that playlist. Yeah.
Kathy said, Neff, I heard one report saying that Buster was the heir and Paul the spare.
Wow.
Damn. There will never be a good enough reason to unalive your family. Agreed, Trish. There really isn't. I don't think there's any reason, right? But there are reasons where you can understand how someone got there to convict them for it. Like, so you thought your wife was cheating on you, you was whatever, even if she was, then you killed her.
Unless it's...
I get it, you're going to jail forever.
Only reason I can understand is if it's self-defense.
Yeah, that's the only reason.
Like if they got a gun to your head.
Or child defense.
Yeah.
If I have to, like, defend my child or, like, someone that's within who I'm supposed to protect, and I accidentally or purposely unalive someone because you're trying to unalive them.
Yeah. Yeah, that just doesn't make sense.
Nefertiti said that sounds about right. Buster was named after the grandfather. He was in law school. He was supposed to be the next Murdaugh terror in that town.
Wow.
If this man was not wealthy, would you still feel that way? Trish, can you tell me what you mean by that? Because I know we were talking, so can you remind us what you meant?
Yeah, what we
Naj, you have a great point as well from Junebug. Nefertiti, him being rich honestly makes me less sympathetic to him. Agreed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I was speaking in terms of, like, if there's a situation where you really need to do something out of desperation, right, for your family. But in his situation, it is a different situation, meaning he has wealth. So I get you.
If you find out someone's hurting your child, I don't even know where we're about to go with that, Trish, but I think we're on the same page. Yeah. Guys, let's get to the sentencing, and then we got to get to the next video, okay? Yeah. But definitely, Trish, still tell me what you're talking about, because I want to know.
Me too, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad to see jurors taking that responsibility seriously, because it is very
important. There was one lady who was an alternate that kept appearing to fall asleep. We called her Blanket Lady because she had a blanket with her. But I watched as those jurors, sometimes they would you could tell they were just done, but they looked back and forth between witness and attorneys. And James said he specifically did that, looking at both the prosecution and the defense to see their reactions to
good people. We have 9 people in the chat. Please tap that like button. We have 5 likes. We will greatly appreciate that.
Certain pieces of testimony.
And I'm glad to see jurors taking that responsibility seriously, because it is very important. And that was the jury's decision. And then we heard Judge Clifton Newman hand down the sentence.
Mr. Murdaugh, I sentence you to the State Department of Corrections on each of the murder indictments in the murder of your wife, Maggie Murdaugh. I sentence you for a term of the rest of your natural life for the murder of Paul Murdaugh, whom you probably love so much. I sentence you to prison for murdering him for the rest of your natural life.
And there you have it.
I want
the
the
trial
rest
of Alec Murdaugh. Anjanette Levy, thank you.
No. No, I need to know. That wasn't all he said. Because everybody's talked about how crazy this sentencing was, and that's all they did. They said that this man went in.
You know. So, all right, Nefertiti, we have some videos saved about the situation. Stephen Smith, whoever he is, I guess it was like one of the kids or something like that. I don't know.
Friends.
Okay, so something popped up with that. I saved it in the playlist, so I guess we can check it out prior to the other, the next video about the Houston doctor, Leon Jacob. So we can take a look at that. I think that'd be pretty interesting. And Kathy concurs with Nefertiti. I don't know anything about it. I just saved it because I thought it was interesting, and I know. What's the boy name? What's the son? The older son? Bubba? Buster. All right. I'm thinking about my nephew.
You have a nephew named... Oh, right.
It's a nickname.
Would have no comment.
So, yeah, maybe...
I need to see this.
Yeah, plug it back in your baby.
I need to see this one because this is important.
Oh, my God.
No, there was so much more to sentencing. What?
You wasn't looking what you were doing.
What was I doing?
You was like, oh, there was so much. I'm like... Funny.
He said, oh, my God. I thought something serious happened.
No, it was just funny, but I realized you weren't looking. So, how about them bulls?
Bubba is the dog.
I'm a dog.
I know this better not be black. Treat it like a dog. Sorry.
About Stephen.
Would have no comment.
Okay, here we go.
R.
I know what to do.
Oh, do you?
Dang it! I just had it.
Let me see. Just tap it.
I'm a beast. Now I'm gonna get this back on the.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm innocent. I would never hurt my wife, Maggie, and I would never hurt my son, Paw.
Paw.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Look how evil he looks.
Sit down.
Anything further?
I don't think further comment is...
He does have those eyes that be in those scary movies where the black part be so big. I don't know if it's just me. Maybe I'm just like thinking too much into it, but those eyes, like the pupil, it's like very black and large.
Well, yeah, like demonic.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just me looking at it, but it just seems that way. I don't know. It's picked up on that.
Yes, sir. Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. Murdaugh, if you'll come before the court for sentencing.
Yeah, tell me what the sentencing is.
This has been perhaps one of the most troubling cases, not just for me as a judge, for the state, for the defense team, but for all of the citizens in this community, all the citizens in this state, and as we've seen based on the media coverage throughout the nation. You have a wife who's been killed, murdered, a son savagely murdered, a lawyer, a person from a respected family who has controlled justice in this community for over a century, a person whose grandfather's portrait hang at the back of the courthouse that I had to have ordered removed in order to ensure that a fair trial was had by both the state and the defense.
Please tell me they don't look just alike.
His grandfather's portrait
They're
is in the motherfucking
identical.
courthouse.
What do they call it? Like ginger? Like when they got like the
redhead ginger.
Right.
Yeah.
But he looks just like, look at the nose, like the long head. They're like
The long
cones.
head.
Yeah. Like a what do you call those donuts? Long Johns.
And I've sat through the trial. Not only have I sat through the trial, but also as the presiding judge of the state grand jury, sat through and participated in the issuance of search warrants of various sorts, bond hearings, and have had to consider many things. And we have this case, and I'm also assigned to preside over 99 others?
99.
At least 99 other cases. Though testimony has come up regarding many of those other cases, I will not make any comment with regard to any other pending matter, as I have been assigned those cases as well. It's also particularly troubling, Mr. Murdaugh, because as a member of the legal community and a well-known member of the legal community, you've practiced law before me, and we've seen each other at various occasions throughout the years.
Hope you were nice to him.
And it was especially heartbreaking for me to see you go in the media from being a grieving father who lost a wife and a son to being the person indicted and convicted of killing them. And you've engaged in such duplicitous conduct here in the courtroom, here on the witness stand, and as established by the testimony throughout the time leading from the time of the indictment and prior to the indictment throughout the trial to this moment in time. Certainly, you have no obligation to say anything other than saying not guilty. And obviously, as appeals are probably expected or absolutely expected, I would not expect a confession of any kind. In fact, as I've presided over murder cases over the past 22 years, I have yet to find a defendant who could go there, who could go back to that moment in time when they decided to pull the trigger or to otherwise murder someone. I have not been able to get anyone, any defendant, even those who have confessed to being guilty, to go back and explain to me what happened at that moment in time when they opted to pull the trigger, when they opted to commit the most heinous crimes known to man. In this case,
I'm sorry, Alex Murdaugh standing there like, bruh, what the fuck? Get to the point.
What I got?
Nefertiti, we're gonna pull up that video. Did you send it in Patreon? Because if so, we'll pull it up.
Why is Nefertiti still not Moderator, was it
No, Bendy needs to be. Bendy's the one that I'm surprised she's not in there. But let's
Go ahead. Qualifies under our death penalty statute based on the statutory aggravating circumstances of 2 or more people being murdered by the defendant by one act or pursuant to one scheme or course of conduct.
Yep.
I don't question at all the decision of the state not to pursue the death penalty. But as I sit here in this courtroom and look around the...
Wait. Did you see his head twerk? He said that I felt like...
Go back. Go ahead.
What?
Go ahead.
Press play?
Yeah.
I don't question at all the decision of the state not to pursue the death penalty. But as I sit here in this courtroom and...
Like, sir,
so what?
Did you just say that death? He could not hold that. He's like...
You say to the death, what?
He was like...
Sir.
That was on my table.
Sir.
He's like, I see how this about to go, so you gonna give me the worst shit possible. I'm not gonna argue that they didn't want to kill your ass. He's like, what? Oh, am I gonna get in trouble for saying these words?
I mean, we're about an hour in, so it's not as bad, but just try to,
I'm not gonna argue that he wants to unalive you, but here go ask Murdaugh. Let me check these comments real quick because y'all are talking about good stuff. Buster not throwing up the bird now. Not so bad now. Ow. It is definitely still, I guess.
Cool, man.
What are we doing? Okay, let me see. Y'all already know I've hit this drink a little bit, so. Buster will have to move out of country to have any kind of life, but that's probably where the moolah is headed. Whoo, Lord. The judge also thinks he did it. I freaking agree. Alex Murdaugh confessed to all the financial crimes. Yep, I knew that. Yep, because I think he was hoping it would make him look more honest and believable. Agreed. I think that he was trying to make it seem like, see, look at me. I'm willing to say I messed up here. That doesn't make me a murderer. Sir, it just means that we can't trust nothing you say because you're willing to lie regardless of what. Lori Daybell. Why do I know her? Kathy, who is she again? Yeah, so SC is a death penalty state. This judge is not the judge Alex's legal team wanted. They were trying to get another judge's court. The other guy in Idaho might get the firing squad. We have firing squads? Wait. Oh, hold on. Not just back. He's looking at me crazy. Ow.
Guess who's back? Back again. Najee's back. Tell a friend. Really?
Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back?
What y'all been talking about?
The little crazy lady that had her kids taken away.
I don't know about that. Let us know some of the...
she just let us know. That's a big one.
Additional ones as well. Just things that y'all have been into.
Facts.
Around the men who pursue the death penalty. But as I sit here in this courtroom and look around the many portraits of judges and other court officials and reflect on the fact that over the past century, your family, including you, have been prosecuting people here in this courtroom, and many have received the death penalty.
Dang.
Probably for lesser conduct.
Lesser conduct.
Remind me of the expression you gave on the witness stand. Was it tangled?
Tangled web, we weave.
Oh, what tangled web we weave. What did you mean by that?
It meant when I lied, I continue to lie.
And the question is, when will it end? When will it end? And it's ended already. And the question is, when will it end? When will it end? And it's ended already for the jury because they've concluded that you continue to lie and lie throughout your testimony. And perhaps with all the throng of people here, they, for the most part, all believe, or 80, 90%, 99% believe that you continue to lie now when your statement of denial to the court.
That backfired for him.
Perhaps you believe that it does not matter, that there's nothing that can mitigate a sentence given the crimes that were committed. You know, a notice of alibi was filed in this case by counsel in November, and we conducted a hearing, pretrial hearing, in which you claimed to have been someplace else at the time the crime was committed. Then, after all of the witnesses placed you at the scene of the crime, at the last minute, or last minutes or days, you switch courses and admitted to being there. And then that necessitated more lies and continued to lie. And I said, where will it end? It's already ended for many who have heard you. And
damn, buddy, it's crazy.
I had no idea. Turn it off for me, babe.
What?
Comment.
Oh yes, sorry.
I had no idea. I know they were saying lies, but I didn't know that or maybe at least I don't remember. I don't know if we talked about the last time we talked about this. I didn't remember or didn't know that he said he wasn't even there within the vicinity.
Yeah, that was the whole crux of the thing. He said he was at his mother's house. And then that's when he said he went to his mother's house, said he was there for like an hour. And the black lady said he told her to lie and say he was there longer. And then he tried to like bribe her by her wedding.
Okay.
And then she was like, he was on here like 15, 20 minutes. But he told me to act like I was here all night.
That is crazy. Yeah, because we were talking about like, if you're going to lie, make it at least convince the person that you're lying.
He did it to two women though. You're like, you tried to act like, yeah, I had that shirt on.
That now,
and then
when he was talking about like how long it's been, he told her to say how long it's been.
If anyone asks, say I was here for like an hour.
Versus saying like, oh snap, damn, it's been 43 minutes. Like say something, don't ever say 45, right? Say something that's like you won't think to say 42. It's been 42 minutes. Let me get out of here, right? That way, it's at least like so she can at least think that it's a little bit and not that long. But if it's only been 15, 37 minutes, something like that, right? I remember that now. Okay, cool. But when you lie, and then you lie again,
and then you lie again,
and then again about serious situations, and then you don't know how to lie. At least, like, if it's a life or death situation, no, I'm serious. Like,
he
I
knows
do
how
what
to
you're saying.
lie. The problem is he had too many people in his shit. Because he's been lying for 20 years.
No, but I'm saying, like, that's
a
even
drug
worse.
addict.
Because if you've been lying for 20 years, you should know how to lie by now.
No, but you gotta lie to certain people. Like, for example, you know, like when I was young, I knew how to get away with shit with my mom, right? But like, I could lie to someone else and be like this.
But what I'm saying is,
girl, we know this is a fucking lie.
Listen to what I'm saying. There's a difference between no, not even that. There's a difference between a flat out everybody knows you're lying versus a persuasive, at least you may have just not known type of lie.
Everybody believed him until proof came out that he was lying.
Listen to what I'm saying. When I brought up the situation where he had with the what is she? The helper around the house? Who was that? The
Blanca.
Hispanic? Yeah. With her, the maid, or whatever it may be. Like, at least bring up something where it's persuasive to where they don't think that you're lying about it or that you're trying to be deceitful, that you're just confused. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, do you remember that polo I hit on earlier? I can't find it anywhere. Because they didn't find it, right? Mm-hmm. Remember that polo I hit earlier? I can't find it nowhere. Do you know where it's at? Did you wash it or something like that? Like, that's persuasive. Like, it sounds like I'm confused. Versus saying what he said. Or in this situation where it's like the lady, where he was like, if anybody asks to sell, it's only been 15 minutes. Like, say something like, hey, oh, snap. I was just about to talk about this with you. It done been 37 minutes. I gotta go. My wife or something like that. Like, make it persuasive. Like, don't be stupid. You know, like, that's just common sense. I know you're going to say what you want to say. That's fine. I'm in the house all day. I work from home. So, what am I lying about? Don't even matter.
You could be up in here kicking it every damn day.
We got cameras all around the house. Who I'm going to kick with? Exactly.
Oh, no.
So, my point is...
Now I'm like, he over here giving a master class on how to lie.
I'm just saying, like,
what the
that's
hell
just off
you
the
been
top.
lying about?
Nothing. I live like an open book. Ain't much that I can say.
That is the lie they tell you to make you not look into shit.
Girl, my phone, you got my password. It's your birthday.
But I don't even look at your phone because it seems
that's
so
a lie.
open. I ain't looked at your phone in years.
We're not even about to go there.
Good, because I don't want to hear no lies.
You went through my computer, which is the same exact thing as my phone.
I sure did go through your
Thank
computer.
You. I was about to see if you was
but
gonna
it wasn't
lie.
to look for something negative. I wasn't going through it to look for something negative. I was bored.
Is it or is it not the same exact?
It's not the same. I wasn't looking for problems. I was literally just like enjoying looking at the shit you look at.
Okay. Anyway,
I was like looking at his browser
let's
history.
Get back to the point.
That's so weird. You just threw. He hasn't been boxed.
Let's get back to the point.
I'm so embarrassed. Anyway, his lies caught up with him when women that can do math put 2 and 2 together and kept getting 5. Look at this. Look at our baby.
Let me finish my conclusion. All right. Point being, if you're going to lie to someone, at least make it seem like you're. And again, this is coming from a lawyer, right?
An attorney.
Like, you should think that this person, and I don't know what type of attorney. What was he like?
He's a prosecutor.
Yeah, for like criminal cases, like or what?
Oh, Trish, no.
Thank you, Trish. I got my back. Thank you.
Trish said invasion of privacy with 2 exclamation points. Trish, it wasn't like that.
Oh, what was it like?
Trish, it wasn't like that. I didn't have my phone. I was in the office. I just started looking at stuff.
You always know it's like that when they say it's not like that.
It wasn't like that. I didn't go through your phone, liar. But I did go through the computer.
Babe, I have all Apple everything.
And I learned a lot of good stuff.
My computer is
First of all, I learned a lot of good stuff, though.
We're
I learned a lot.
Go into details.
Well, I learned a lot of good stuff.
Going through a person's MacBook, which is connected to their phone. Everything that's on my phone is on my
I
MacBook.
knew things that were important to him.
Did you not hear what I said? It's the same equivalent.
Whatever.
Anyways, we're going to move on from that.
He still just taught a master class online. See how he switched that? See how he manipulated that and turned it into me? That was slick. You almost got me. But it's still about you and your master class. that you just gave to the people.
I did a master class.
Yeah.
I gave the bare minimum. Like, just don't be stupid.
Yeah, no, you did it on purpose. I see what you did.
It's DBS.
Najee, just so you know, Trish, because I want you to be clear, Najee's gone through my stuff like crazy.
I never touched your stuff until you touched
Whoa,
my
but
stuff.
have you gone through my things? It's just a yes or no question.
For sure.
Okay, so just leave it at that.
Once you went
So
to
don't
mine.
forget that.
After you went
Look at Trish. You got her thinking that I'm the only person. You go through my stuff all the time. See?
I absolutely do not.
You are
Don't make those
lying,
statements.
Najee. Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to deal with your lies.
You know, as always, I don't lie, I tell stories.
See? He don't lie, he tells stories.
But this is not one of those stories.
Baby, you do go through my stuff.
I should get a story. I should make a shirt called that. I don't lie, I tell stories on the front.
That's
on the
not
back,
cute.
on
That's
the back.
not cute.
On the back it says, "This not one of those stories."
That's not cute. All right, you gonna wrap with this thing?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
All right, let me see. Next time you try to lie to somebody,
I don't lie.
you got Trish over here thinking that it's only me, and it be your ass too.
Who started?
Concluded that it'll never end, but within your own soul, you have to deal with that. And I know you have to see Paul and Maggie during the night times when you're attempting to go to sleep.
Dang.
I'm sure they come and visit you. I'm sure.
All day and every night.
I'm sure. And they will continue to do so. And reflect on the last time they...
Did you hear what he just said?
I'm sure they come and visit you. I'm sure.
All day and every night.
I'm sure. And they will continue to do so. And reflect on the last time they looked you in the eyes, as you looked the jury in the eyes. I don't know person who's always been such a gregarious, friendly person and cause your life to be tangled in such a web, such a situation that yours have spun into.
What a tangled web we weave.
And it's so unfortunate because you had such a lovely family of such friendly people, including you, and to go from that to this. Your license to practice law has been stripped away from you. You turned from lawyer to witness, and now have an opportunity to make your final appeal as an ex-lawyer.
He's really
It's
digging
almost,
it in.
it's really surprising that you're waiving this right at this time. And if you opt to do so, it's on you. You're not compelled to say anything.
Wait, is he waiving Wait, guys, is he waiving his right to appeal verbally, like, while talking? He's not waiving his right to appeal, right? What am I missing? What the heck is he talking about?
Lawyer. And it's almost, it's really surprising that you're waiving this right at this time. And if you opt to do so, it's on you. You're not compelled to say anything. But you have the opportunity to do so.
And I tell you again, I respect this court, but I'm innocent. I would never, under any circumstances, hurt my wife, Maggie, and I would never, under any circumstances, hurt my son, Paul.
Well,
Yo, the background facials is too much for me.
Do so.
Judge, I tell you again, I respect this court, but I'm innocent. I would never, under any circumstances, hurt my wife, Maggie, and I would never, under any circumstances, hurt my son, Paw.
He's not supposed to make faces like that. Now he gonna shake his head.
I would never, under any circumstances, hurt my wife, Maggie, and I would never, under any circumstances, hurt my son, Paw.
Well, and it might not have been you. It might have been the monster you become when you take 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 opioid pills. Maybe you become another person. I've seen that before. 20, 30, 40, 50, 60.
Never, under any circumstances, hurt my son, Paw.
Well, and it might not have been you. It might have been
See his face, how it changes.
the monster you become when you
He looks
take
evil.
15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 opioid pills.
He looks pissed off.
Maybe you become another person. I've seen that before. The person standing before me was not the person who committed the crime, though it's the same individual. We'll leave that at that. Before announcing sentence on these cases, with regard to all of the other pending cases, are any of them here in Colleton, or I'm sure some of them are?
Yes, sir.
Half of them, or?
I don't have that in front of me, but there are a substantial number of charges here. There's some in Hampton, Orangeburg, Beaufort, Allendale. There may be others that I'm not thinking of right now.
We might have worn out our welcome here in Colleton. They have been, and I'll take this opportunity to thank Sheriff Hill. It's just been great. Scheduling is complicated, and you cite Attorney General's office with all the other many things and obligations you have. And to be able to have the Attorney General here, Alan Wilson, for the period of time that he's devoted to being here, along with everyone else, it's been quite a sacrifice. But there are other victims whose cases deserve to be heard. And this case has jumped some of those other cases. Perhaps jumped it because of this case resulting in an assault on the integrity of the judicial system in our state, law enforcement in our state. Even during this trial, the law enforcement have been maligned for the past 5 or 6 weeks by one who had access to the wheels of justice, to be able to deflect the investigation. And as the evidence is pointed out in this case, the looming storm that Mr. Waters talked about, I can just imagine on that day, June 7th, when a lawyer is confronted and confesses to having stolen over $500,000 from a client, and he has a tiger like Mark Tinsley on his tail.
What is the, and this is like a real question, because I haven't I don't know the time frame that he made that money in, but I haven't made $500,000 within a year, let alone 2.
You haven't?
$500,000, no.
Shit, I have.
So if you're worth millions, right? And aside from the answer of greed, aside from the answer of greed and resentment or hatred towards the person you're doing it towards, what is the benefit of stealing that money from a client?
I know. So, he probably has accounts with his wife, and if he's getting income, she's expecting it. So having income that she's not expecting and putting it someplace else to buy his drugs, then she wouldn't be suspecting it. So that's why.
You said if he has an account with his wife, so you're saying like.
So let's say his typical income comes in there. So if anything's missing from it, she's gonna know. Okay. But if he's stealing money, and he's putting it in something else.
What is this large, ridiculous amount of money that he's spending on drugs?
Listen, he was spending $50,000 a week on opioids.
Okay. So $50K a week.
Yes.
Times 4 weeks is $200K. So within 3 months, that's $600K.
Right. So of course he was spending $500,000 from people left and right.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, and then Trish said to put money in the Cayman Islands. Okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely wild. He was money laundering because he is a drug addict.
No, the drug addict piece, and especially spending $50K. But what the hell is he taking for $50K?
His nose is gone. I think he's also doing crack.
$50K?
Suing
Yep.
discovery in the case involving the death of Mallory Beach. And having a father, for the most part, on his deathbed.
Wait, what?
And having a father, for the most part, on his death.
Hold on, I want to go back to this. I don't think he actually did $50K a week. I think he bought it, though. And I think that he was giving it away at parties or something. Or like trying to be that guy that has it and doing it.
I thought he was the plug.
Yeah, being the plug. Because I'm like, what else could he be doing it for? Why do I seem like, what's going on with this camera today?
Closer.
Anyway, so, but that's what I'm saying. So like, I think that that's what happened. I don't believe he was actually taking them himself because he'd be dead. So
that's crazy. Yeah, maybe I don't know much about South Carolina.
It's very country.
I have a business partner there, and I know it's the place that.
Is he coming to our wedding?
I'm not exactly sure.
We gotta make sure we record everything for our YouTube family.
I know it's the place that a lot of people view as a retirement destination. They love it
because of the island that's there. Don't they have an island?
I don't think they have an island. I don't know. Maybe I can't tell you. That's why I say I don't know much about it except for those 2 things. But yeah, like what are they drug laws? They're allowed.
They don't allow.
I mean, obviously,
no one allows
opioids.
opioids.
Yeah, I know it's illegal, especially that large amount. But I don't know. I just find it interesting. Let's go back there.
Dead. I could imagine, or really can't imagine.
That money is offshore.
I know it had to have been quite a bit going through your mind on that day. But amazingly, to have you come and testify that it was just another ordinary day, that my wife and son and I were out just enjoying life. Not credible, not believable. You can convince yourself about it, but obviously you have the inability to convince anyone else about that. So If you made any such arguments as a lawyer, you would lose every case like that. Cases you will never have an opportunity to argue anymore, except perhaps your own as you sit in the Department of Corrections.
Why is he going so hard?
Anything further?
No, sir.
I want you to know, I think that he is really pissed off that this man is not taking the time. He said, I'm not expecting you to confess the moment you chose to do this shit. He's like, but I am expecting you to say something. He's like, I'm innocent and I would never kill Pawpaw and Maggie.
What you would call a grandfather or, you know, a father when you got kids, but go off. I just don't understand. Maybe he felt like that was his best defense was no defense.
No his best defense was no defense?
I don't know.
All I know is it's not working. Nefertiti, we're getting married in Costa Rica because that was the first place that Najee and I ever went internationally on a trip, and we absolutely adored it and loved it. It was the most amazing trip we've ever taken together.
Concurred.
We've been out of country a few times before together, but that was the best one for sure. Right, babe?
Mm-hmm. We've been out. Well, we've traveled.
We've traveled a lot of places
every
together.
season, but out of country, maybe like once a year on average has been.
We've been once a year out of country, but we've only done Mexico recently because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll be back to Costa Rica, and I think we're gonna go to Panama for our honeymoon.
To make up for a couple years back, shit, like what was it, like
3 years now, yeah.
That was the goal for me to take Rainer there for her birthday during COVID. So it was like during that summer.
We didn't know COVID was still gonna be going like it did.
Side note, I'm telling a quick story about that, but I had bought the tickets for it, and they literally refunded me back because Panama was closed. They like literally closed the entry,
the borders.
But I don't know if you remember this. I literally felt like, and I guess we can't say that word, but the C word, right? The C after 18 word.
Oh, I already said COVID.
Yeah. Gonna keep going. I don't know if you remember this, but specifically, I remember when it first was happening. I guess it happened December 19, end of the year, when it first was like
and
known.
Really popped off
and
in
then
January.
February 8th was when we went to Costa Rica for my birthday, right?
Well, a few days before, yeah.
Right, and then after that, like early March, no, after like late February, that's when all the people was going into all the grocery stores buying a bunch of stuff, and I felt like it was going to be one of those situations where there was like a lot of scares and things like that. How, you know, the Ebola and all these other things were. We
were the only people in the airport with masks on.
What was the thing called? What's the stuff they were delivering? Anthrax. Like all these other things that just popped up and then it just disappeared. I was like, I think it was like March the 1st or 2nd. I was like, watch by March 21st. Ain't nobody going to even be talking about COVID again. Or C word again. Right, by C word again. Because that's how so many things were. I was like, we get into these things where it's like all blown up out of proportion. And then next thing you know that people not even talking about it no more. This was that one occasion where it just turned everything upside down. Anyways, that's a whole other topic for a different situation. I just didn't feel like it was going to be that. And it was. It was that times 10.
Department of Corrections. Anything further?
No, sir.
All right, Mr. Murdaugh, I sentence you to the State Department of Corrections on each of the murder indictments in the murder of your wife, Maggie Murdaugh. I sentence you for the term of the rest of your natural life for the murder of Paul Murdaugh, whom you probably love so much. I sentence you to prison for murdering him for the rest of your natural life. Those sentences will run consecutive. Under the statute involving possession of a weapon during a violent crime, in the murder of your wife, Maggie Murdaugh, I sentence you for the term of the rest of your natural life for the murder of Paul Murdaugh, whom you probably love so much. I sentence you to prison for murdering him for the rest of your natural life. Those sentences will run consecutive.
Good. Good job.
Under the statute involving possession of a weapon during a violent crime, there is no sentence where a life sentence is imposed on other indictments. That is the sentence of the court, and you are remanded to the State Department of Corrections.
He went down like hurry but got this motherfucker locked up.
And officers may carry forth
Get your ass
on the imposition.
Get your ass over here, you murdering scoundrel. Let me take him, Judge. Give me your goddamn arm.
That boy lost a lot of weight.
He sure did. He ain't eating those good old lobster meals.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's a tall man.
6'4".
6'4". Let me tell you, that judge, I like that judge. I like him a lot.
He said, I'm down with the slow burn.
I'm down with the
said,
slow
I'm gonna
burn.
take my time with this one. That's interesting. That's
But he said,
you know what? What's crazy about the situation is that, like, I don't know, maybe he was under the influence during the moments of this whole situation happening. But something that was key was when the judge brought up that, I don't remember, paraphrasing, but the moment when he brought up, like, maybe it wasn't you.
Maybe it wasn't you, but it was certainly
that version
the
of
individual.
you when you're influenced by certain things or whatever. All right, insinuating like he was under, influence. But it's crazy because it's like, dang, it really makes you think like, that's the truth. Maybe he was under the influence in some way, shape, or form, and it wasn't him in his natural state of how he cares. Maybe he really does love them, but maybe he got himself out of his natural state in order to do those type of things, But it's just messed up when it's like you in this position. Like, he had to, being a lawyer, you have to know that this is your outcome at some point. You can stall for so long, but you have to know this is your outcome. This is the outcome of this situation. How can you plan to get away from this?
Mama said, "Don't make any excuses for AM because she ain't hearing it today."
Yeah.
Kathy has zero tolerance for this man, and I'm not mad at her.
I'm with it. I agree. I'm just saying, like, how, like, it's just stupidity to think that, at least, like, for example, like with mafia people, right? Like, members and such. Like, they hire hitmen, they hire, like, scapegoats. Like, it's people
not
that
as scapegoats, baby. They're just... Sorry, go ahead.
What?
What did you call them?
Scapegoats. What? They hire people.
They're called scapegoats.
Scapegoats. Scapegoats, same things. The goats that escape. The goats that put people in the way.
They're just called scapegoats.
Same thing. People to help you get away, or at least take the blame off of you, right? And you being a lawyer, one would think that you're more intelligent. Or maybe you're a lawyer and you feel like that people may not accuse you and there's other people to blame and such.
Facts. But I want to get this video that Nefertiti had us pull up on Patreon. She is part of the Patreon. We got to make sure we show her video because Mama wanted to make sure we saw this. And I've not seen it, so I want to make sure we see it. But I completely agree with you. It's some bullshit. Okay, let's get it popping. It's a little bit of a smaller video, guys. Sorry.
They were two young girls from Colombia.
They were underage when they became your clients?
Yes, sir.
Two sisters, Elena and Hannah Plyler, trusted Alec Murdaugh when they lost their mom and brother in a car crash. We have the story of how that trust was abused and their money misused.
Damn.
I've covered a lot of crime stories over the years, many of them here at Law and Crime, and it always gets me thinking about
I'm
how
sorry, guys.
important
Hold on
it
one
is to
second.
No, we're good. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I don't like my notifications shown. I got it. I'll just wait for you to get it together.
Your phone broke, babe.
No, it's not. It's how we get it in Patreon. It's the same thing.
Oh,
It's
you
just
watching it from Patreon?
Yes, we can't do it any other direction. So this is
Oh,
what
I
I
thought it was a
did.
YouTube video.
No,
I'm
it's
sorry.
okay. You just don't like listening to me when I said it. It's cool. Let me just. I don't hear about you. How about that? Okay. Sorry, everyone. We're all good. Najee, you should sit back. Your head looks like it's way bigger than it really is.
Possibly.
It looked like it just kept going and going.
All right, you want to play the
Okay,
video?
yeah.
Right. It's a small but mighty self-defense tool. It uses
What?
the
Is this
safest
the right video? Okay.
and their money misused. I've covered a lot of crime stories over the years, many of them here at Law and Crime, and it always gets me thinking about how important it is to stay safe.
Girl, you are not
This
about to
can
listen
help
to
you
your goddamn ad. Got us messed up.
Ray.com. Welcome to Law and Crime Sidebar Podcast.
This is
During
the one
Alec
from
Murdaugh's double
Nefertiti.
murder trial, we heard about a number
Wait,
of
Nefertiti.
clients that he
I call
represented
her
related
Nefertiti,
to
Nefertiti.
lawsuits that he filed on their behalf, particularly during the cross-examination by Assistant Attorney General Creighton Waters. Two of those clients were children when Murdaugh met them, Elena Spahn and her younger sister, Hannah Plyler.
Who were the Plylers?
They were two young girls from Colombia.
They were underage when they became your clients?
Yes, sir.
Did they suffer a loss in their family as a result of an accident?
They did.
What loss did they suffer? Who died?
Their mother did.
Joining me to discuss her experience with Alec Murdaugh is Elena Spahn. She was just a kid when her mother and her brother were killed in a car accident. She was critically injured, and her attorney, Eric Bland, is with us as well. Elena, welcome to Sidebar. Thanks for coming on. I'm wondering, first of all, just take me back to when this happened, the car accident back in 2005, and Alec Murdaugh became somebody that befriended you. This is somebody you probably looked to as, a figure that could help you out in life, a father figure maybe?
Right. So in 2005,
She's pretty.
July 16th, I was involved in a car accident with my mom, my brother, my sister, and myself. We were in Hardyville, South Carolina, and we were driving up to Columbia that weekend. So this was on a Friday evening. And coming through Hampton County on I-95, we had a tire blowout, and Mom lost control of the vehicle, and that's when we veered off and flipped over, hit several trees, and it was very clear that my mom, my brother, did not make it.
Oh, wow.
And you almost lost your leg. Tell me a little bit about that, what you're comfortable sharing.
Sure. So during the accident,
Camera keeps missing me because
I was pinned in the vehicle, and it was almost like in an embankment. So I remember telling my sister, because she was the only one that could get out, I told her and instructed her to get out of the vehicle, go to the top of the interstate and try to flag somebody down, because I was afraid that, nobody would see our vehicle down in this embankment. So at 8 years old, my sisters go into the top of the interstate and flagging someone down. And at that point, there was an 18-wheeler that had pulled over, and also some other people that pulled over. And then when law enforcement and fire rescue arrived, they used the jaws of life on me to remove me from the vehicle. And I was airlifted to Savannah Hospital. I had crushed my left shoulder, blew my left knee completely out, and broke my right femur in 2 different places. Those were the majority of the major injuries, and of course, significant loss of blood. Gone through about 15 surgeries in that first 3 years. So yeah, it was very traumatic.
Elena was 12 and Hannah was just 8 years old at the time of the crash. Their mother, Angela, and brother, Justin, were killed in that crash. Elena spent a month in the hospital and then went to live with family, including her father, who was separated from their mother at the time of the crash.
He chose
Can you imagine his guilt?
go out just about every night, and just kind of me and Hannah there, and we felt very out of place. I was bound to a hospital bed for several months, so Hannah took care of me while I was in the hospital bed. And
what's it got to do with the man, though? I mean, are we gonna get there?
What happened? So they just
right? Like, can we get to the guy?
That was Alec Murdaugh.
He's really good with talking with people. He was very convincing.
Wait, what was that?
Very, very friendly.
Then
needed that Social Security check that month, that's who we lived with. So Hannah and I lived out of bags, slept on couches for several years that people never knew about. But I mean, we did what we had to do, you know, to stay together.
Elena and Hannah's father got an attorney who then brought on another lawyer to help represent them. That was Alec Murdaugh.
He's really good with talking with people. He was very convincing, very, very friendly, but also very adamant. Like, you know, what they did was wrong, and we're going to make this right. I assure you of this, and you're going to get all this money. You're never going to have to work another day in your life. I'm going to make this right. And like, I trusted him, and I felt like this is the guy to go to for sure. He was just good with his words. He was very convincing that we were going to be okay financially. And so I talked to him several times on the phone, and then eventually those led up to depositions for the case. So I met him at depositions, and so, but it was like meeting a friend. It was just like seeing a friend that I hadn't seen in a while. We had talked on the phone so many times, so by the time we actually met each other in person, it wasn't strange or anything. I remember him hugging me, and there was a lot of people in the room, and he.
Pause the work. You know what's so interesting about that? It makes complete sense for the time that we're in. Like, in the world that we're in today, there's a lot of people that I watch online that if I was to see them in person, it will almost feel like I know them because of how much that I watch them.
Later. This was like 2000 something.
That's fine. Oh. I mean, just like in general. I mean, the internet's been around for forever. So, like, there's been so many people that I've known and watched over the years where it's like you basically have a connection with, right? Just by watching them and knowing them and looking at their facial expressions and hearing the words that they say to the point where it's like a normal thing. And there's no difference between listening to them talk and FaceTiming a family member. Right, I'm sure there's family members that you all know that y'all don't see very often, that you just like talk to on the phone. So when you see them in person, like you know them. So it's the same thing when you finally meet somebody that you see online, and you see them in person. It's like, okay, yeah, this is this person. I know them, right? It's the same exact concept. I can only imagine her putting all that trust into this person because she's talking to him directly, and you building that relationship with them, and then on top of that, relating to something that's so integrated into your life and such a pivotal point of your life financially that you feel like you're like baiting all this stuff on, and he's like saying like, okay, well, we're gonna give you all these millions or whatever it may be, and like depending on that individual because like he's persuading you that based off of this situation, you're gonna get all of this money from, and then we're gonna find out what happens. And then to basically find out that this person was lying to you or got you or whatever it may be, like that's a tough thing to get over because of how much you invested into this person. How much you've invested, not just person, I'm sorry.
The trust that they've invested in him.
And exactly. Trust, investment into a complete stranger on top of that. But because they were so persuasive, right? It's not like it's a person that you have met in person, not a person that you touched or had in-person conversations with just as individual. And you felt like you can trust them, especially with a situation like hers where you had this damage and 15 surgeries. And they feel like it's going to make it right, and then to find out that nothing comes from it. That's something very challenging to get over.
Well, yeah. You are right about it, buddy. Don't forget Alex had a badge as deputy solicitor, and his father was the solicitor. He had a lot of clout.
On, I remember him telling me that he had a son, but he only mentioned Buster. I didn't even know he had two sons until later on. And so he put himself in a position where he would explain, like, you know, I'm a father, I've got a son, I've got a wife, and so making it almost like he could connect to the case, and like he couldn't imagine going through that. So, yeah, that was the first time I met him in person, but the conversations continued on the phone through several years. And he would call me, letting me know that they're moving in the case and things are looking good. He'd ask how my dad was doing.
So did the case actually take years for you to get money? I mean, or was this a case where the money was there and you just didn't know about it?
No, it took years.
It did take years. Okay.
Yeah, Ronnie Crosby of Alex's firm was really the hard worker. He's their go-to products liability guy on rollover cases and tire separation, tread separation cases. And so Alex was the point man that got the case from Arnold Beecham, but the guy that actually worked it and made them, you know, the value in it was Ronnie Crosby.
So Eric, come into this now and tell me where the wrongdoing occurred between Alec Murdaugh and Russell Lafitte.
In her case, Elenia's and Hannah's, they appointed Russ Lafitte as the conservator. And so the initial filing was wrong. They were not residents of Hampton County, so it never could have gone in there. And then once he was appointed a conservator, he got 5% of the settlement amounts. Hannah's settlement was like a little under 3 million or about 3 million, and Elenia's settlement was 4.5 million because she had much more injuries and permanent injuries than Hannah did. And so he received, just by the virtue of being named conservator, 5% of their money. And then going forward, he received a 5% annual fee to manage their money.
Eric Bland said that Russell Lafitte then started loaning money to himself and Alec Murdaugh from the accounts belonging to Hannah and Elena.
He decided that he was going to loan conservatorship funds, which is an absolute no-no. The job of a conservator is, as the word says, to conserve, to preserve their funds. But he decided, instead of putting him in an FDIC-backed CD that would be backed by the financial government, you know, these girls were not looking to get.
Okay, so y'all know I work in banking. I would never suggest to put $3 million freaking dollars out in a dang CD. And if it's FDIC and backed, it's only backed up to $250,000. So what the fuck is he talking about? FDIC only. I'm not even supposed to talk about this, but I'm just saying this lawyers does it. This is why, just because people are highly educated does not mean they know everything.
That's literally what I was.
Can you like back this out? I feel like it's so close on us. Like
that's literally what I was just
more
saying about
and more.
Okay.
Thank you. Like, what are you even talking about? I'm sorry. I work in banking. I've worked in banking for many years. Why would you put $3 million in a CD? And then at FDIC insurance, what are you even talking about? Like, that's not even like.
And that's actually, I mean, that goes into a different situation. But about the
And the
Silicon
5%.
Valley Bank.
I can't talk about. I really can't even be part of that conversation.
Well, yeah. So basically, just depending all of the situations based off of a lawyer's opinion and what they think you should do. That's a very not smart situation, especially if they have motives. And again, maybe he didn't know that they had motives, but he's just trying to figure out what's the best move for them. But
I want you to know, to manage someone's money for 5% is absolutely freaking wild. It's a crazy amount of money to manage. 5%.
What is
normal?
What's 5% of 1 million?
Let's do that. But first of all, I just want you to know that is extremely high. If you ever get in charge 5% for someone, listen, y'all, I'm not allowed to give financial advice in these types of formats. So I have to be very careful. I cannot participate in certain conversations.
I think 5%
of
1 million is $50K.
Okay. I was trying to say something.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's $50K. So if you're ever in a situation where you want to get your money managed, you're like, life has gotten good and now you need someone to manage your money and there's a fee, you need to make sure you know what that fee is. And you need to make sure you know if that fee makes sense. And then you need to negotiate your fees. Yes, my friends, you can negotiate your fees from your investment advisors, your financial advisors. You can say, no, I don't want to pay that much. What can I do to bring it down? If they're not willing, shop around. But that's it. I can't say nothing else.
5% of 1 million is $50K, which is the equivalent to the average American household income.
And it was $7 million between the two of them. So it means they were getting almost $350,000 a year to manage their money. Like, come on.
Wow. Shall we continue?
Instead of putting him in an FDIC-backed CD that would be backed by the financial government, their funds.
Started loaning money to himself and...
An absolute no-no. The job of a conservator is, as the word says, to conserve, to preserve their funds. But he decided, instead of putting him in an FDIC-backed CD that would be backed by the financial government, these girls were not looking to get, 20% on their money. They wanted their money to be preserved. They were young and they wanted it to make sure it would, when they turned 18, it would last. And so
that's the sad part. It's like, can you imagine what let's just say they were 18 because they couldn't, right? They had to last they were 18. At 18, I don't even say 18. At 21, now granted, you're much different, right? Because you got into the industry very young. But at 21, that probably would have still appealed to the the majority of individuals that don't have much education on financial, infrastructure or what the norms are, including myself. Like at that age, like when you hear 1 million, that's a big number. Not let alone what they said, which was 3 million, but 1 million is a very big number at 21.
You need more than that for retirement.
But on top of 1 million, on top of that, also 5% is a very small number, right? At that age, it's like, okay, well, you're going to help me manage 1 million for just 5% of it. That's cool. We can do that. Let alone they were under 18, not 21. They weren't 21. They were under 18, maybe 15 or something like that. And they had 3 million. So to say 5% of 3 million is pretty convincing, especially when, like she said, that he's a very good talker and knows how to word things, and he seems very trustworthy and those type of things. Plus, they lost their parents, which is the guidance, or at least her mother,
yeah,
right, which is the guidance, and then just got thrown to the father, whatever it may be. So it's a very sticky situation, you know. It's just blind, so it's a very hard thing to deal with, but it's just sad. It's really sad.
agreed. I think that it's one of these things. Kathy actually just put up a comment of how she's are you the trustee or you're the trust? You call it a trust manager. Or you manage a trust for someone. That's not something that doesn't mean it's her money. Like, there's people that will help to manage these things. That doesn't mean they're getting paid for it, right? It's one of those things where you really do need to shop around and get information from people and trust people and develop relationships with people. I oftentimes coach my team on the importance of genuine relationship building and really getting to know the people that you're helping, because someone can be very persuasive and make you feel some type of way. And you're like, okay, I'm going to go to him. But you don't know this person. There's been no real rapport built. That's why I find it important for my employees to actually get to know their clients, help their clients, and don't sell. Don't try to sell your clients. Help your clients. Literally, if you think about how can I help you and make things easier for you, make things better for you, like the way they get paid will just be like what's that word where it's like a second thing?
Secondary.
It'll be like a given. But now your focus is helping people. That's the main focus. And that's how a byproduct. But the focus is that. So I'm with it. Like, it's just, it's such a sensitive topic for me because I do this for a living. So I don't want to get into it because I'm not allowed to. Because we have regulations, we have licensure, we have to have permission to talk about certain things. But you certainly, it sucks to hear this because they trusted this man who's an attorney, but he was actually a freaking predator.
Which, in the same sense, and again, this goes back to my point originally, which is just because a person is a skilled expert in what they do for a living, don't mean they're a skilled expert in life,
everything, right?
Like in all the different topics. So it kind of it's messed up because especially when you're young, you just assume that. You assume that, oh, they're so proficient and like such.
They know everything.
Focus, right. And it seems like that because you're only talking to this person about this subject, and it seems like they know everything about this subject. So you just assume that this means everything versus like that this is just one area of life that you haven't yet gotten to realize that there's other areas of life because you haven't been through those life experiences to the point where you just trust them with all things, right? And this is one of the main reasons I bring this up all the time, right, babe? Where you shouldn't, specifically, I don't believe in role models.
Yes, he says it often, yeah.
I don't believe in role models. There's only resources, right? View people as resources, not as role models. Mm-hmm. Meaning, that person may be as great as it get in that specific area. Michael Jordan is the coldest basketball player probably to rock.
My God, baby, not a basketball analogy today.
You know how I roll. He's the coldest basketball player to walk this earth, right? Some people will argue that that's Michael Jordan, that's LeBron James. Some people might argue that that's, Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain. Let me go.
Okay.
They may argue that there are certain people, right? But don't view that person just because they're so proficient in their area, meaning that they're proficient in all areas, right? View them as a resource, not a role model. Because they may be very skilled at basketball, that don't mean that they're very skilled at, loving their family or, treating their, spouse right or their kids right, and all these other different things, these other areas of life. But you view them as a role model because of how skilled they are in this area, right? So view people as resources. Take the best, leave the rest, right? Mm-hmm. And you shouldn't. I brought this up earlier, but I've always said this. view people, don't agree with 100% of what everyone says, right? What one person says, you should never agree with 100% of what one person says. If you do, you're technically a fool. Not in a derogatory sense, but in the actual definition, right? Which is just like you're easily fooled based off of believing an individual.
Mm-hmm.
So you should always question things. What they're talking about, maybe they're very skilled at that and they understand those things, but don't view a person as a role model. That's why we're so disappointed by people. But you shouldn't be, because you should view them as what they are, an entertainer or actor or whatever it may be, and that's that. So, point being, view that person as a very skilled lawyer. That I mean, at their financial.
What?
The way that you're looking.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Go ahead, baby. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm listening. It's just long-winded.
As a expert in what they do, and not the overall expert in life in all areas.
I'm sorry. I am.
Okay.
Oh, we gotta wrap this up because it's 10:44. I want to make sure we get to the rest of this video. I'm sorry, baby.
Go
ahead. Y'all in trouble.
20% on their money. They wanted their money to be preserved. They were young and they wanted it to make sure it would, when they turned 18, it would last. And so Russell became a father figure to them. Didn't tell them that he was loaning money to Alex. Didn't tell them that he was loaning money to himself, to the point that he had an existing loan with South State Bank. Russell did, for 7.25% on a line of equity that he had. And he took Hannah's money and paid off that loan, but then signed a promissory note to Hannah where he only agreed to pay her 2.5%. So he lowered his interest amount that he was obligated. And of course, it wasn't secured.
Yeah, he's using it as his personal piggy bank, their money.
I mean, it's so ridiculous. And then he started loaning money to ridiculous.
Hold on, I had to see
and
that
then
one
he
more
started
time.
loaning money to Alex. And Alex, he knew, was an extreme credit risk with the bank, because you heard in the murder trial that he was overdrafted at any given time anywhere between $50,000 and $350,000. So he starts loaning Alex money unsecured. And again, Alex was always late. Alex wasn't paying interest on time. And so he never enforced those obligations. And at the same time that he's doing this very liberal loaning of the money of the girls, he's acting like he's Sergeant Schultz over their money when they needed money for school, for a band uniform, or to go on a school trip, or to Disney World to go with the school. He would oftentimes say no. He would say, unless you produce receipts, I'm not going to give it to you.
Wow.
He did go to the court to get permission to give them up to $200 a month, that he wouldn't have to go back to court. It could be up to $200 a month. But he's turned them down for cell phones. He turned Elenia down for a car loan. She needed a car when she was 16 years old to take Hannah to school, to take herself to school. She was in the band.
Millions of dollars.
One of them was a majorette or something like that. He denied him a car. It was ridiculous to see. They had to write these notes and beg him for their own cash. And, he didn't need to give them a car loan at 18% because they had their money, at least $600,000 worth, that was sitting in the bank.
They could have paid cash.
Could have paid cash.
Alec Murdaugh brought in his friend, the CEO of Palmetto State Bank, Russell Lafitte, to serve as a conservator for both Elena and her younger sister, Hannah. Elena talked to me about what happened when that conservatorship ended when she turned 18.
It was a quick 10-minute meeting. Like, here's all these binders. Inside here will be all the documents throughout the years of being your conservator. Basically, good luck. Didn't give any kind of direction. Didn't give any recommendations on what to do with this lump sum of money that was about to be wired to me. Explained nothing to me. It was literally like, I'm checking out, and here's your paperwork. Have good luck.
And so what did you do then?
So took the paperwork, and at this point, I'm 18 years old. I'm getting told that I'll have $600,000 in my account in a couple days. So I'm excited. I should have been grabbed by the reins and come back down to life and be like, look, this is a lot of money. Let me help you invest it. Like, let's talk about investing it. There was none of that. They literally, Russell just was like, you'll get some money in your account soon, $600,000. And that was it.
So when she was 17, she was tired of getting shuttled back and forth to different homes. So she goes to Russell and says, I want to buy a house. I need stability. I mean, can you imagine a 17-year-old girl saying this? And so they went and looked at some homes, and Russell kept vetoing a lot of the homes that she liked and actually made her buy a home that he liked more than she did because the kitchen was small and it didn't fit her needs, but she was so desperate at the time to get a house. So he buys her the house. He doesn't tell her, you got to get homeowner's insurance. You got to get insurance to protect yourself against casualty, flooding, fire, whatever. So she turns 18 years old. When she turns 18 years old, the conservatorship ends. Russell literally came and met her and just hands her a banker's box full of 4 or 5 notebooks, because annually every year he would have to file some type of rudimentary accounting with the probate court. But he never disclosed in those filings that he was loaning himself money or Alex money. It just said loans.
Wow.
It didn't say loans to whom, loans to what, for what, repayment or anything. It just said loans. And he hands her these box of documents in a 10-minute meeting and says, basically, have a good life.
In the meantime, Elena's house burned down, so she lost all of the records and financial documents related to her settlement. She says she kept calling Russell Lafitte to get those documents, but her calls were not being returned.
Damn. Oh my God.
Let's take a second to let that
You're talking about $7 million. And he was talking about $600,000 will be in her account. What? Did you ban something?
No. It was a mistake. I just clicked.
You went really far. Can I see?
So.
This is crazy. I want to see something that was. Okay, go ahead. I was trying to go before that because there was a comment that I hadn't gotten to.
Okay, we'll go to it. So, Kathy, let me elaborate on.
Let's read it. So, not true, totally, Najee. If you have the right person you respect, trust, then they can be a role model. My Uncle Bob was my role model, and he was the best ever. Now, I wouldn't trust everyone, just him.
Mm-hmm. So, here's what I mean by the statement that I made.
That's sweet.
Like, it's excellent to have people that we view to want to emulate and to view as a good person to society as far as the areas that we know. But we as individuals, we have our own beliefs and we have our own perspectives on life and we have our own experiences. So we're always looking and we're always learning, right? Now, the thing is, we know somebody and we view a person based off of the prism of what we view them as and what we know them for, right? Now, there's never 100% understanding of every individual that we know in our life. As much as we may think we know a person, we don't know them fully, right? And we may not agree with everything that they do. So let's just say that there's a role model that I have, right? And I'm going to use that term role model loosely. Let's just say there's a person that I view and I know and respect. To not set yourself up for disappointment, we may need to view. Thanks, babe. That was great. Thanks. We may need to view that person as a resource, and this is what I mean when I say this. When you view a person as a resource, you view them based off the things that you know them by as beneficial, as helpful, as great, and loyal, and all these different things. But the person that we know may not always be the person that they are in full. So let's just say something comes out about the person that I view as a role model. Something that I never knew about them, something completely different, and they, get accused of something that's like harness, that's just a criminal act or whatever it may be, and I'm like, I never knew them for that. Like, no, they've never been that to me. I've never seen them do this. I've never seen this area of him, right? But it may be a whole nother separate area of their life that you don't know nothing about. And it may set me up to be disappointed by this person because of what I know them for, right? But they may be somebody completely different in another area of their life. So if you just view them as a person that you know them for, which is saying that I know this individual as being this person, as being this role model and such, that's cool for that area of their life. But when you view this person as a role model in totality, that's putting a lot of pressure on the individual to be perfect. And when you view a person as being perfect, that's setting yourself up for failure when a person does something that's not perfect. Let's just view a quick analogy, a quick understanding. O.J. Simpson. That's probably a great example of a person that you may want to go to for football knowledge, right? A person that made it to the league and such, you may view as an individual that is he probably had family members that looked up to him in all these other areas, right? But there's another area of his life where he may not have been the best husband. He may not have been the best person to look towards for relationship advice.
Are we talking about O.J. Simpson, the one that killed his wife?
Yes.
He may not have been the best person for what?
I say he may be a great example as a person to look towards and look up to for football. For football understanding, for making it to lead, for being a role model in his life for football. And this is being objective. He's the perfect person, possibly back in that time, to be a person that you should look towards for football advice. At the same time, if you would have viewed him as a role model, you would have been highly disappointed in him as a person because of this other area of his life, right? He made it to the league. He was a great individual. And there's been lots of other examples of that. What was the Hispanic guy name? I forgot his name. This was within like the last 5 years. He made it to the league, and then he was still a game banger. He's still a killer, right? I forgot his name. I think it started with a D. He was a Hispanic guy. I think he was like a Mexican. Might have been. I forgot his name. But he made it to the league. He was a perfect person, and he may have been a role model to a lot of his family members and a lot of younger people to make it to the league that had great advice. He probably could have helped you make it to the league. But in this other area of his life, he was out here killing people. He was in the streets and doing what he was doing, right? So what I'm saying is, don't view a person as a role model, because people will always disappoint you in some area. People are not perfect, right? We make mistakes, we do crazy things. So just view people as resources. View people as people that you can gather information from, that you can learn from, but don't view them as an individual that you want to model your life after, because they can set you up for failure, in a sense, in some area of their life. Even if you never find out, it may be something that they never let out to the public. They may never get caught for, but just view them based off of what you can learn from them. That's all I meant by that. And if we don't know, not get know. You cool?
Yeah, I'm trying to get the thing back up.
In a 10-minute meeting and says basically, have a good life.
In the meantime, Elena's house burned down, so she lost all of the records and financial documents related to her settlement. She says she kept calling Russell Lafitte to get those documents, but her calls were not being returned. Then came Labor Day weekend of 2021, when Alec Murdaugh was involved in that so-called roadside shooting with his cousin, Curtis Eddie Smith.
Russell and I had talked, occasionally here and there. He'd normally call me if he had a question about how to get in touch with Hannah or something. It wasn't like, hey, how are you doing? It was a, hey, what's Hannah's phone number? Or what's Hannah's address? Or what's your address? And it was very short, sweet, to the point. So it was kind of a coincidence because he had called me in the fall of 2021. And to let me know that SLED had contacted him and wanted all of our documents that he had during the time of our conservatorship. Several weeks later, I got a phone call from SLED, and I remember just recently Russell told me that SLED wanted our documents, so I was putting two to two together then, and that's when SLED was explaining to me, like, no, we're investigating these things with Alec and Russell, and obviously that's not what Russell told me. It was just the check in the box sort of thing. Alex was in trouble, but Russell was not. But it was very clear that SLED was explaining, like, no, we're investigating things on both, with Alex and Russell. And so I called Russell about it, and I was like, hey, so I just got a phone call from SLED, and he's like, what did they say? And I was like, they were just asking if, like, I was Elena Plyler, that was my maiden name, where I lived, where my phone number was, if those were good contact numbers and things like that. And he's like, well, did they say anything else? And I was like, well, no. And then he's like, are you still in law enforcement? And, like, he had never asked me, like, personal questions like that. That was the first time that Russell and I actually had, like, a
real conversation,
kind of like a personal conversation.
Right.
Like, normally it was just very business-like, like, hey,
Because
Russell,
he didn't
can
want
I get
shit
some,
from you.
Can I get the mic? Yeah, I'll see what the judge says, and then that would be it. Like, it was very short. But this conversation in 2021 was very different, and he was just asking me these odd questions. But again, I didn't think a whole lot of it.
Elena is a sheriff's deputy for Lexington County, South Carolina, so she could tell something wasn't quite right. Then Alec Murdaugh started getting charged with a bunch of financial crimes. Russell Lafitte was then charged by the feds with a number of crimes, including wire fraud. She testified against Lafitte at his federal trial last year.
I will say it was a lot different being put on as a victim on the stand. I've testified in court so many times, but it was different being on the other side. But I knew it needed to be done.
Okay, so basically, they frauded these young girls as well, and I freaking think that sucks. It's so sad. It's just another testament to the character of this piece of shit. Like, he's just a piece of shit. You guys have quite a few comments in regards to the conversation that's happening, so let me go back. This is the sad part for these girls, is that they were minors. They didn't know. Right, come on. Come on. Come on. You got through there the first time. Najee act like he's so thick. Let's see here. I'm gonna go back to what Najee and y'all were talking about. So we finished the video. This is heartbreaking. Facts, Trish. I completely agree. Completely. Russell was arrested and convicted too. Yeah, we just learned that. So that's good. As he should have been, as Kathy said. But I did, and now my prism is gone. I'm just thankful that he was around for 57 years. That's Uncle Bob. I love that. I understand the point of this conversation. I really do. Trish says, I've always danced to my own drum. I am my own role model. Raina, you should have patted his tush. Girl, he cannot stand when I touch his butt. Look at his face.
That is not the case.
You don't like when I touch your butt?
When you try to smack a man's butt in public, No, I don't think any man would like that.
Some do.
I said man.
I said some do, baby. Some are
M-A-N.
very comfortable with themselves.
That
My
ain't got
uncle
nothing to do
taught
with
me
comfortable
that,
with yourself.
Trish, that and so much more. Yes, you have a great BS meter. She does. Thanks, Trish, and I get that from him too. I wouldn't use an actor or an athlete as a role model. Good people to do bad things, and evil people do evil things. If you're blessed with an Uncle Bob, you don't need an athlete or an actor. I might say this, like, just because I haven't had a chance to, like, give my input to this, I think that I understand the no role models mindset, but I also understand the role models mindset. And sometimes you only know what you know. And just because you don't know everything about someone's past or lifestyle does not mean that you can't look up to them, right? So I get what Najee's saying. Why are you looking like that, Papa?
I was trying to read, you know.
Oh, he's like this. I get what Najee's saying, but I also, like, personally, I know the good, the bad, and the ugly about my mother, and she's still a role model to me. I mean, she done some things, but I still would rather take so much from her and look at her as someone I would like to try to be like in a lot of areas. And to me, the word that goes with that is role model. Like, my mother is my role model. I love her. I love everything about her. I love what she does. I think she's very smart. She's intelligent. She's innovative. She's willing to take on change. She's loving. She's non-judgmental no matter what she hears. If she decides she loves you, she loves you. I just think she's a great human. And I just respect her completely. And I find her to be my role model.
I understand where y'all are coming from with your perspectives. I think it's just a matter of, I would say experiences, and then I will also say perspectives. For example, it's not that I would always use the word role model. Like, it's not that I always didn't use role model. There were times when I did, right? And there were people within my personal life that I would view as a role model until situations popped up that I learned more about them, and it would disappoint me.
I agree
and I
with
would
that
also
too.
be like, whoa. And I was like, damn, this is the person that I was like looking so much into, and
You
I
didn't
would
expect them to be like that.
invest so much
Yeah.
into, where it would throw me off so much, where I was like, okay, I can't invest so much emotionally or like spiritually even into this individual that would do things that I just wouldn't agree with as a person, right? So it changed my perspective to view people as, and I personally think resource is a amazing word. When you view people as not someone that you can see in totality as the perfect role model, but just view them as a resource for what you love them for, right?
I can vibe with that too, baby.
Bits and pieces of information from people that are amazing, but when you put so much on a person to say that they're a role model, you're setting them up for, honestly, almost failure if they make a mistake or they put something in a wrong perspective or do something wrong, where it's like now they've been held to such a high standard of being a role model that if they do something wrong, now they're not viewed as that same role model. And again, this is me personally speaking.
Let me ask you something real quick. For example, you might have a work role model. You might have a spiritual role model. You might have a marriage role model. You might have a parent role model. If the guy that you role model after, that's like the greatest father you've ever seen, I gotta be like this guy. Like, I want to raise my children the way he raises his. I want to be that type of father. And then you find out that he cheats on his wife.
And this is the specific, like I said, it may be a perspective thing, but that's why I don't use the word role model. I use resource. I have a physical resource, right? I have a financial resource. I have a mental resource. I have like all these things. I call them resources because it's just a resource specifically.
So it's more about the terminology for you.
Yeah, and again because like I have used the word role model and I have put people into position to where I think that they're like. And when I think of role model, you think of this person that's like well-rounded in so many areas based off of like what you view them as. So when you view them as a role model, you view them as a person that should know so much about so many areas. So I just personally feel like we shouldn't use the word role model. We should more so use the word, we should more so use the word resource. Because it then doesn't set yourself up for failure when it comes to these different avenues of
Personally,
people.
I don't see failure in it, but I get what you're saying. Like, I could really 100% vibe with you and use resources. But to me, role model doesn't mean I emulate you, I stan you, I am your follower. I follow the Najee Kelly plan. Like, I am Najee Kelly's biggest fan. You know what I mean? To me, I don't see it that way. You know what I mean? So it's more to me about like, what about you do I want to model about your role in my life?
So the definition of a role model is a person looked to by others as an example to be emulated.
Yes. And in that role.
Imitated.
In that role.
It don't say that though.
But that's what it means to me, in that role. And obviously I think that's what it means to everyone else. I mean, here's the thing. Certain things that contradict my morals, I don't give a fuck how great you are at anything else, I can't participate in. So personally, I'm very triggered by cheaters. And people that cheat on their spouses or their long-term significant others. I'm extremely triggered by that. So if I'm role modeling after you in any way, that might sully my entire experience with you. That might make me be like, you know what? For you to do that to another human being, can't really get down with you. Like, I've been on the receiving end of it, and it's the worst thing I've ever felt in my life. And I don't see how I can trust you or believe you or participate in anything to do with your life. Papi, participate. You never get a PM, you said. Mm-hmm. You never get the PM. Sorry, guys. We're getting married at 11:11, and it's 11:11 p.m. right now. So he always gets it in the morning, so I just caught it just now. I can't participate in shit like that, personally. I hate it. I hate people that cheat. It makes me so angry that she would do something like that to somebody. But, like, you know, if they got divorced, it wouldn't bother me as much.
Here's the thing.
It's like some people get divorced. It doesn't mean someone did anything wrong.
Let me say this. When I talk, I specifically... So, for example, like, you all... Well, maybe you don't. Some people do. But you know that I'm in the fitness space, right? Like, that's my thing. Like, the supplements in the background for my supplement company called BBP Subs. So, usually...
I'm so sorry. What did we say that made y'all laugh? But go ahead.
Usually, I'm trying to cater my messages towards younger people. Specifically because I like to talk to the younger version of myself. And the younger version of myself viewed the word and those words, role model and such, as a person that you wanted to be like.
What's the D word? I'm sorry. Do you know what they're talking about?
No.
Go ahead, baby. He's getting frustrated with me. Go ahead, baby. I'm sorry.
When I use the word role model, it's like because of the person that I wanted to be like. And then when things pop up that were the antagonists of the person I wanted to be like, or something happened and it kind of threw you off, it basically made it so that you weren't trying to emulate that person anymore. You were kind of thrown off by the individual, right? You were no longer attracted towards what they were versus just viewing them as a person that's proficient in what they provided to you and view them as that specifically and not paying attention to those other areas, because you can learn a lot from the people that you don't like. there's a lot of people that I don't like, but I can still learn a lot from.
Right.
Right. I wouldn't view them as a role model, but there's a lot that I can take from them.
Agreed with Kevin Samuel.
So it's a lot in those areas where there's a lot of individuals that I just don't like as a person, but I may come across a clip or something where I agree with something that they may have said. And I'm like, damn, like, I don't like you. I do like what you said, and nobody else have said that specifically in that way that resonated. So I don't have to like you as my role model, but I will use what you said and that way that it made me think as a resource to provide benefits and to be able to inspire other people and to have other people see things in a different light, right?
Yes.
You don't have to always like the people that we agree with, right, in totality.
No, I agree with that. There are certain people who, as a young black female, I can't get down with. But they say things that I completely agree with. I'm not even going to tell y'all who it is, because I don't know when to judge me. But there's a few people where I'm like, they ain't lying. They're not my role models. I just agree with some of the things they say. So it's like, it's true. Like, you know what I mean? There's certain people, I watch all types of things unbiasedly, and I'm like,
yep. And it was both sides
of
it was both sides of the spectrum that made me come to the understanding that as much, and again, I'm not disagreeing with y'all. I love the word in the root of me, like the bare, like deepest crevice of me, right? I love the word role model because it makes sense. But at the same time, I realized that there were people that I viewed as role model that I didn't agree with a lot of the stuff that they said. And there was people that I didn't agree with or like at any way, shape, or form that I viewed certain things that they said that made so much sense to me that I could not argue with them. So it's like, okay, you can learn from a lot of different people. So just view everything as a resource. That way you're not disappointed by anything. You're not disappointed by the role models that you view when they do things that you don't like. And you're not also disappointed by the people that you do agree with when they say things that you don't like. So it's the best of both worlds when you can just objectively view the things that are happening, the words that are being said, and agree and disagree when you like, versus seeing a person as a role model and saying that, hey, this is my role model. And then when you recommend a role model to another person, right? Imagine that you recommend a role model to another person and the person doesn't agree with that individual or doesn't agree with things that you're saying. It's like, if it's supposed to say, this is my role model, you're saying, hey, like, this is a valuable resource in this area. This person comes to you and say, hey, I need help with this certain situation. I need help with improving my fitness, right? I can say, hey, look, Naj has some good information.
You sure that bottle has nothing in it?
I can say, hey, Naj has some really great information about fitness. But I probably wouldn't listen to Naj when it comes to neuroscience. I probably wouldn't listen to Naj.
But that's not what role model means. That doesn't mean I'm going to just blindly listen and follow everything you say.
But that's the world that we live in, though.
Well, that's okay.
That's the world that we live in. We view a lot of things, when it comes to that, we view a lot of things as like face value with a lot of people. That's just all I'm saying. We're objectively speaking, right? I don't expect you all to agree with 100% of the same. Just use it as a resource. You may agree, you may not agree. Just realize that this topic came up, and again, my slogan, right? The slogan I said is, take the best, leave the rest, right? If it don't apply, let it fly, right? You shouldn't agree with...
you're like about to die on this hill, though. You've been talking about this for 30 minutes.
You shouldn't agree with 100% of what anybody says, so I may be that 1% that you don't agree with. But at least you can say that you've heard it before. That's it. I just feel like that was valuable.
No, it's not that it's not valuable, baby, but like, I get it. I hear what you're saying. I think they hear what you're saying. Some people will have to like figure it out. Oh, yes, Trish. Naj, have you seen Chris Rock's latest comedy show?
Yes.
Yes, we saw it.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
Prime example.
No, I want to hear what she's saying, Poppy.
Huh?
What is Trish going to say?
She can say it.
Don't hide, Kathy.
This is one of those things where I don't agree with 100% of what he was saying, but there are certain things...
Some shit he said, I was like, what the hell is wrong with this
Right.
man?
There was a lot of things that he was bringing up that I was like, why are you talking about
I didn't even
this?
giggle.
It was certain things he was saying that made me want to like, all right, I don't even want to watch this. And there were certain things that I was like, okay, I can see that. Oh, okay, that makes sense. You know, so it was like, all right, I'm gonna just listen to what he's saying and try to get his message, his perspective. But there's nothing that has to do with like. There's a lot of people I'm pretty sure that would consider him as being a role model, right?
I'm gonna tell you that I feel that Chris Rock, certain things he talks about, you know, he's always been a little bit more too, I don't know if assertive is the right way to say it, but he says things I just don't want to hear, right? Mm-hmm. Go ahead, baby.
These are old.
He says things I just don't want to hear, but personally, it's the things he said about a lot of things I agreed with. The things he said, I disagreed with a lot of stuff he said.
You said things I said. He said about.
I stopped because, you know, listen, I work in corporate America with a very high level position as a vice president. It's a very high position. I have to be very careful of the things that I say so I don't accidentally, you know, put myself in a position where I could get in trouble with what I say.
That's
Should
fine.
any of my, you know, clients or employees or superiors see it. So I have to be careful. But so I try not to say things that are going to get me, like I could be myself, but I try not to say things that box me into something that can get me in trouble. But my point is that he said a lot of things that I really agreed with. Said things that I didn't like about how hard he went with it. But overall, I really enjoyed the special and I really liked what he said. I also watched some other videos that came with it from, you know, political commenters even, or from entertainment commenters who had their own thoughts on his views on choice in regards to pro-life or pro-choice, his views on Will Smith and Jada, his views on how sensitive our environment is, right? Or how much we love attention now. And those things, like, I really was vibing with because I'm like, brother, just keep speaking the truth, you know? So that type of stuff, I really was a part of. Go ahead. What were your thoughts? You can expand more than I can, so you should.
No, I got
take
you. I
this.
just thought that there was a thought that you would then expand on.
I can't expand on it like I want to, baby.
So he said a lot that I felt was appropriate. He said a lot that was like didn't have to be included, but I also know that part of the comical space is saying things that are controversial, where it can cause people to feel uncomfortable and also cause people to talk about it to other people.
Like
right?
what, baby? You can say what you want.
So, for example, like how Trisha's asked her opinion about it, what do we think about it? That was partly due to some things may being controversial because we want to know other people's opinions about it, right? It's not like everybody globally agreed with what he said. So that's part of getting people to think about it. And it's probably some people in the chat that haven't heard of it or watched it, and that what we're saying now is going to get some people to go watch it, right? So that's more ratings, more monetary value, a lot of those type of things. So I think that one of the biggest things about the topic was the fact that, well, actually, even before I go into one of the biggest things, but a lot of people was talking about how he saved the Will Smith stuff for last.
He was
right?
very strategic with
Which
that.
was genius because it caused people to wait and to watch and to just hold on to the moment that he mentioned it. But he did have some other things that were in there that were he felt like was needed to be said, that he felt like he really wanted to touch on. And by him baiting people to like think that he's going to talk about the Will Smith situation, it got all that stuff out first. Mm-hmm. And then at the very end, I mean, he was hinting on it throughout the whole series, like throughout the whole talk, right? But at the very end, then he said how he felt about it, and he let loose, right? he let loose like a bug. So it was just very interesting, but also very fitting when he did talk about it. A lot of people felt like, some people was like, he should let it go, he should do this. I think that there is no there's no due dates or deadline for get back when it comes to those situations. I agree. Like when you embarrass a man on a publicly, syndicated platform where every millions and millions of people. What was it? I don't even know what it is. I don't want to see it like that.
It was millions of fucking people.
Oscars. What was it?
It was Academy Awards, I think.
Academy Awards. Okay. I don't even know what that is, but it was that show, right? I didn't even watch it. I just seen a clip of Will Smith coming up and slapping. I thought it was a joke until I actually watched it a few times. I was like, that's a slap for real. So when you do that type of thing to specifically another man, right? When you do that thing to another man, on top of that, a man that's severely undersized. Will Smith is 6'2", right?
Is he only 6'2"?
6'2", let's just say 6'3", 200 pounds, 200 plus pounds, against what's Chris Rock? We want to give him 5.
That man's a little shrimp to me.
5, let's just say 5'9", maybe.
If that.
Right? 100.
He a happy meal.
170 pounds, possibly, potentially.
A little something.
You come across and just demolish this dude with the slap. First off, that was a good take.
Remember this time.
He took it.
Remember this time, baby.
Yeah, he took it very well because he should have failed. Right? If you were really about the life, you Will Smith, you should have made the man fall with that type of slap.
He slapped the shit out of him.
He slapped him, so he took it very well.
I'm sorry, guys. Just so you know, we have really moved on to a whole other subject. Thank you for participating. But Trish brought it up, and it's a subject that we want to be part of. We should have did a whole video on this.
We should have. So,
we watched the whole special. We should have did a whole video on this. But go ahead.
So when you slap a man like that and embarrass him in front of the whole world. Keep in mind that they said Will Smith tried to reach out to him afterwards, and he didn't want to say nothing. It was a no-go. He wasn't trying to hear nothing. This is, I'm not sure if y'all into Robert Greene. I'm a big fan of his books. He has a book called 48 Laws of Power, and he wrote a book with 50 Cent called The 50th Law, The Laws of Human Nature, Mastery, which is probably my favorite book of all time. We got it, baby.
Robert Greene.
Can I say what I need to say?
I'm sorry. I'm just looking at the time. Sorry. Go ahead.
Golly. He has a lot of great books that I'm a huge fan of. So, in that, he talks about, strategies of war, which is another one of his books and stuff. So, there's never a right or wrong time to get back towards your enemy, right? And for Will Smith to say that he should get over it, it's not his place to say that because he made a decision as a man. So, Chris Rock made a decision to capitalize off of it. And his decision to capitalize off of it was in the best way that he possibly can. Now, a lot of people agree with it. A lot of people don't agree with it. I just personally feel that you can't judge a person how they deal with what they had to go through, especially with his upbringing, learning that he was bullied and he had all these other traumatic situations happen to him as a young individual. Like, you can't tell a person how to deal with something, right? You can tell a person how they should get back when it comes to something that you did to them. I agree with that. He didn't He didn't physically hurt you or harm you or get back to you in a certain way.
He could have had him arrested.
He did.
He
didn't press charges. He did in the best way that he know how, which is through comedy, which is his outlet. Plus and monetizing.
Money.
Right. So you can't say that a person should get back at you or he should get over it when you physically harm a person. There's no right or wrong way to get over that. He chose the outlet that he knows how to deal with it best. So I feel like all in all, aside from all this other stuff that he talked about, I feel like the specific segment about Will Smith and such, and with Jada and such, like he handled it how he probably should have,
I agree. I thought that the ending where he went hard and just said what he had to say. And you know what bothered me most about the ending was when he said, I love this guy. I looked up to him. Talking about role models. He was the greatest thing ever to me. I loved this guy. I loved his movies. I loved his acting. I loved everything about this guy. And when he said, when something happened with him, when that shit happened with him and Jada, I called him to check on him. Be like, hey, bro, I'm sorry.
He said he didn't.
Can you imagine having this persona of somebody so high on a pedestal and you just think so high of them, and then they assault you in front of millions of people.
Will he still be your role model after that? Because I can 100%, I will 100% admit he will still be a resource for me.
He wouldn't mean nothing for me.
I 100%
You put your hands on me?
I don't
Bro,
care
I'm
about
to
that
fuck
though.
Your ass up.
It's not about that. If I can still learn something from you, if I can still look at you and see how to grow or expand or get further in life,
I'll find someone else.
I don't care about the emotional side of that. I'm still gonna look at what you're doing. If I can see you on Instagram and what you're doing is causing you to get further financially, I'm not gonna hate on that because it's subjective. And you put your hands on me,
bye,
we're gonna be
Kathy.
fighting,
Love you.
right? We're gonna see it, Kathy. We're gonna be going back and forth. But if what you're doing is winning and it's a strategy, I don't give a damn about that. I'm gonna use what you're doing and I'm gonna get back at you. It's being objective. And again,
not me, not me, brother.
As individuals and as humans.
If you put your hands on me,
prime example.
you're making me feel some type of way, baby. If you put your hands on me,
babe,
there's nothing I can do with you.
That's the difference between a role model and a resource.
It's not even a resource anymore.
No, listen to what I'm saying. If we fight, right? If not you and me, but if we fight, if we as enemies fight, right? It's another man and
Kathy said, no Ramo, no resource, no shit.
That's cool.
I love her.
Listen, if we fight and we're going at it, we're enemies. But if you're winning, on top of that, at the end of the day, if you're winning and you're outdoing me in life, there's clearly something I can learn from you. And I'm not being emotional saying like, oh no, fuck you, I don't care about you, I ain't working on nothing. No, if I can see that you constantly getting elevated in life and you growing and like outdoing me and we're enemies and we fought, I'ma still look at what you're doing.
You got assaulted.
Same thing. It doesn't
matter.
matter.
There's a very big difference.
It does not matter, babe. Listen, let's just say what Apple and Google, right? Or let's just say Facebook and Google, right? Let's just say who we want to roll with. Let's just say, well, they retired, the brothers that own Google. But let's just say, so whoever is the head of Google, they slapped the shit out of, what's the boy name? Mark Zuckerberg. They slapped shit out of him. But Google is doing something that's like evolving and that's expanding on the internet faster than the pace of Mark Zuckerberg does. Because that's all he does is copy everybody. TikTok announced the short clip videos. Mark Zuckerberg posts them in now. They got Instagram Reels after TikToks. They are now stories on what's the other one platform? Snapchat. Mark Zuckerberg copy them. Now they got stories on Instagram. It don't matter. It's not an emotional decision. I don't care about what you did to me personally. If I see the strategy that you're doing is winning, I'm going to emulate that because that's the way to also beat you, regardless of how you feel about it.
To the 6 people in here right now, do you agree with Najee? Do you guys all feel the same way that regardless of getting slapped in your mouth in front of millions of people, if they have some sort of resource that you can draw from, you should draw from it? Or do you feel like if you got slapped in the mouth in front of millions of people for saying a harmless joke, that you should completely ban him from your life and have nothing to do with him? What say you?
When it comes to elevating and expanding and growing,
baby,
should you be objective? No, I'm getting to your point.
Go ahead.
Should you be objective and say like, this person slapped me, so I'm going to ignore them and not pay them no attention, even though they're steady, constantly growing, they're steady getting further in life versus what I currently am? Or should I just remove the fact that this person slapped me and he abused me and such, but I see him still growing by $500 million dollars, right? And I'm gonna pay attention to that, and I'm gonna try to learn from that and grow from that. But I still don't like your ass.
I personally think that this is the issue with a lot of people, is that they have no like moral like line. Like there should be a line of, I don't give a fuck what you could offer me. I want nothing to do with you because you've crossed a line. And what I mean is, for example, there's certain people who although I can listen to them, I would never tell people I heard something from them that I like because they say things that are disrespectful or harmful to my community or to me. Although there are people who like maybe I used to like them, but I can no longer rock with them because they went too far, went too hard with something that I cannot participate in. So there's certain things where sometimes people get to like what more are we as human beings if we don't have a morals line? And when people cross that line, I have to cut ties with you because the reality is there's trillions of people on this earth and there's somebody else that I can draw inspiration from, draw resource from. They're not the only person. Will Smith ain't the only person on earth.
Listen though, we're talking about context because we started with the whole role model situation, and Will Smith was Chris Rock's role model at one point, right?
No, Trish just pulled up Chris Rock special out of nowhere.
I'm talking about from his own mouth.
I guess so, yeah. He said he was a fan.
Right. So, regardless of what he did to him, if he's seen something, if there's somebody, for example, there's people that have said things that I completely 100% disagree with. I don't like them. I don't care about them. Even if I don't like them, even if it's not that far, even if I'm not a fan of them no more because of the things that they've said, right? Because of what the position that they've taken, there's still things that I can still learn from them, regardless of their perception and their stance in one area. I can still learn from certain things that they said that other people I may not have picked up on, or other people may not have just said. So regardless of what they say in this situation, I can still learn from them over here, even if I just came across it, even if I didn't purposely try to come across it. And it's something that I can pick up on, that can apply, that is beneficial, that I have not learned up until this point, where it can help me elevate. So it's not about them specifically, it's about something that they know, that regardless of them knowing it, regardless of them telling it to me, it's not about them specifically, it's about the information. It's about something that I can...
I understand that, but there's, again, for example, there's people in history that have done horribly heinous things to large groups of people.
For sure.
In countries different from the United States. And those people now live here and they have a lot of money. Okay? If those people that did those heinous acts had some good ideas, I wouldn't give a fuck because they're horrible humans.
Here's the thing.
I'm just saying,
let me say it's going to what you're saying because this is important.
Go ahead. I wouldn't give a damn what they have to offer. They may have the best strategic minds on earth. If you want to learn how to win a war, study what they did. I don't want to fucking know. I don't care. I don't want to give them anything.
Let me make this statement because I get where you're coming from with that, and I also think that there's levels to certain things because you're talking about whole countries and all these other things.
Yes.
Listen. We're talking about Will Smith, a slap. We're talking about that, right? Like, and we can get over that. They'll probably mess around and be friends with the next 5 years. Who knows, right? They'll be cool. But you're talking about things that have affected generations and generations and all these different type of things. That's not what I'm talking about. And
I know that it was an extreme example. Yeah. I'm just saying.
So, but even still, like, for example, I'm going to give y'all a clear example. All right? I'm going to give y'all a clear example, a direct example of something
that happened. Are you going to cook me dinner? Because this is taking a long time.
I got you. This is something, because I just feel like this is something that's important to talk about. So let's just have this discussion. Listen to what I'm saying right here. Prime example. And again, I'm just a resource. I don't care if y'all agree with me. I just want y'all to hear the thoughts that I'm saying and then make your own decisions. There is a... guy in the business space, right? And I'm going to say his name. There's a guy in the business space named Grant Cardone, right?
You just said I'm not going to say it.
I said I am going to say it.
Oh, I'm not going to say his name.
No. Grant Cardone, who just said something specifically about black people, about how he markets to them, and about these things, about like how he taught the language.
Oh, Grant Cardone
said some shit. There was a very big thing in the space, right? And again, I think that it was like a lack of using the right words on the right platform and just like knowing, being conscious, but also know Grant Cardone because he personally don't give a damn about the fact that it was a temporary controversy because he knows the long-term outcome, which is going to be more revenue, more attention, more things. And he has a book specifically where he talked about this whole thing, and it's called 10X, right? And I've personally been following Grant Cardone for like the last 10 years since I was like 23. And I first came across him on a podcast called Bigger Pockets, and he had an interview with them about real estate, about single family homes and all these different things. And I was learning about that because I was trying to get into real estate at the time, right? And then I ended up following him and such, and he has a book called 10X, right? And this book really helped shift my mindset into learning about business more, into learning about doing more, putting more outputs in, and it really helped me. Do you think I'm going to let what he said specifically in that moment dictate me from listening to that book that really helped me and like helped me mentally as far as like going into business and thinking about certain things? Like, I can separate words from the individual. I care about what he said. I don't think that was right. I don't agree with it. I don't stand by it. It was stupid, especially on the platform that he said it on. But at the same time, he produced a product that was very valuable to me in a certain specific time in my life that really helped me produce a lot of income during that specific time in my life. And when I'm feeling demotivated in certain situations, it helps me, right? So I'm not going to view this person as a role model. I'm not going to view this person as a person that I like hate and things like that. I don't necessarily care for him, specifically after saying that, because I get his perspective. But it's not about him. It's about how that specific information hits me and how it helps me, right? And it helped me a lot during those times. So that resource, I'm not going to say, okay, I'm not going to listen to that anymore because of what he said. I'm not going to, no longer help or use that resource because what a moment that he said, and now he was my resource, and now I'm not going to view him as that. I know that I may not agree with 100% of what everyone says at every specific time, but that's why I view them as resources and not role models. People are stupid. People going to say stupid things all the time. People are going to be racist. People are going to be prejudiced. People are going to be like all different type of things. But it's not about them as a person. I don't care about them. I care about how they can help me elevate, specifically like within business I'm talking about. Like I can care about how they can help me elevate and how they can help me view things differently. So it's,
I mean, here's the thing. I guess here's the thing. When it comes to Will Smith, I don't have like a completely F Will Smith personality, like mindset. But I think I'm talking about more so the overall what you're saying, that if someone violates my morals and what I believe in, I have no value in listening to them.
That's true.
That's just how I feel. Now, maybe in this particular example, he didn't violate your morals. He didn't violate how you feel. And you're like, I can listen to him. But I do feel that Chris Rock has the right to go as hard as he fucking wants. Like,
no, I agree with that for sure.
And yeah,
that was my solution.
But also, I think that the problem with our society is that we have two extremes. Either you're completely cancel culture, or you're just like, whatever happens, whatever. Like, let people speak. And it's like, there should be some type of moral line that you have as a human being, where when someone crosses that line, we just leave them the fuck alone. Like, we're just done. Now, to me, I find myself to be a lot more unbiased and open to conversations. There's a lot of people that I like the base. Let me give you someone. Jordan Peterson. Okay? Peterson. I love Jordan Peterson. He's extremely controversial to me as a black woman. Like, it doesn't make sense for me to really like him that much. But I do. I like him. I really do. Because I like the gist of what he's talking about. And me as a woman, specifically, because it's not really racial, but me as a woman, I don't mind the shit he says. The chaos versus order. I can vibe with it. And I get it, and I have drawn from it and done experiences. I know a lot of women who'll be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you listen to this man? Or why would you like what he says? I don't like everything he says. He says some things that I cannot agree with. Yeah. But it doesn't violate my moral line. So when something starts to violate my moral line, it's a hard cut. If he said something that went too far for me, he would be done for me.
Mm-hmm.
Trish, don't look him up, please. She said, I don't know who he is.
Maybe should.
Don't look him up.
No, so I 100% agree with you, and that goes to my point, because it adds more context to the conversation.
I would never use him as a resource again. Is my point. If he said something, if he ever crossed the line for me, he would be done for me.
So
that's my point.
So here's the thing. It's like, and for me, I don't know. It's so difficult for me to, like, at this point, view a person as that I would not specifically learn from. Like, there has been people, like, in my life that I do not like, right? Like, there has been people that are as close as possible. Let me cancel this up.
Can you put it back?
Yeah. There has been people that are as close as possible to me, right, in my life, family members, all these different type of things that I will literally say that I would not want to be like at all. I don't like them. I don't like them. Like, people that I do not like, right, as close as family. But there have still been things that they have taught me, or things that I remember that I have been through and they gave me some advice on, or all these different type of situations where they have said something or they have some valuable information that I still apply to this day. And that I would not hesitate to listen to something that they say about that specific subject again. Even though I do not like them, I don't like how they roll, I don't rock with them at all, I don't care about them, I don't care to look them, see how they're doing, all these different type of things. Not even just family, but just people in general. But this is also life they were living. And again, I don't know. Maybe it's just me speaking as a man specific. Maybe there's like, maybe I wish Mikey was in the building. Where Mikey at? Maybe Mikey could rock with some of the things
we
I'm
ain't
saying.
been because this is a Mikey.
But there are certain things that you just have to look for, and there's certain information that you just have to gather, that you have to go through certain things to understand what I'm saying, right? There's certain things, it doesn't matter specifically about if you like the person that violated what you had to say or any of those type of things, because when you hear certain things, and again, this goes back to those cognitive biases I talked about. It's by Charlie Munger, which is Warren Buffett's business partner. He came up with these concepts called the 25 cognitive biases, and just one of them called the liking versus disliking bias. And for example, like if you just don't like, let's just say Oprah, right? Like the regular example, you don't like Oprah, you don't like what she stands for, you don't like nothing. So you may automatically assume something that she says, you may just view it as not beneficial. You may just disqualify what she has to say, right? Versus somebody that you really do like and you do really care for, and they may have the most invalid advice, they may have horrible advice on that situation, but just because of the fact that you like them, or you view them as somebody that you like you may roll with what they have to say, just because you like them. So it's biases that we have towards individuals that we just kind of have to get over, you know? What?
But that's not a role model.
What specifically? I don't know.
I'm too old to waste my time on the rat bags.
Again, we are talking about the extremes, right? We're talking about extreme situations.
Well, I gotta extremely go to sleep. It's midnight. Listen, y'all. We can have another conversation about this, but I'm so glad we did get to talk a little bit, because your opinions help to like shape our opinions sometimes, and our opinions have to shape your opinions, and helps to give new perspectives. You're like, yeah, didn't think about that, or I didn't even know about that. Trish, you just looked up Jordan Peterson. Good luck to you. Don't judge me. There's some things he says I like, okay? There's some shit he says I'm just like, can't. He's not a role model. He's a resource to me, okay? Like Najee said. So I'm just saying, at the end of the day, Nefertiti brought up Blair White. That's a walking contradiction. So, like, of course. So there's certain things where we have to accept that everyone's not going to be your 100% cup of tea. I'm sure there's things Najee and I have said where you're like,
for sure.
But you love us, right? And we love y'all. And sometimes y'all say things we're like,
but that's the beauty of being a person, you know? And that's why I don't think that we should.
Well, if it's just a little bird, if it's a lot of bird, then you might not even come back.
But I just feel like that's what makes things valuable, when we can like listen to each other, we agree on certain things, but we also disagree on certain things. And that's what makes it valuable to talk to people.
Yeah, if we can't
and have
disagree
conversation.
respectfully, then what the hell am I doing here? So
Yeah,
I
because
agree with
like
that.
okay, well, no,
But
I don't agree
yeah,
with that. But
we're
what's
talking
that
about a
say?
multitude of different subjects right
For
now.
sure, for sure. And we also not here.
Thank you, Trish. Trish said, "Look, what's his name was good to his dogs. I get it. Yes, sister.
You know what's
yes.
funny?
No, I just want to just give me a second because that's what I was
ahead.
getting to earlier.
Yeah.
Trish, thank you for that comment because I couldn't say it. Yes,
It's so funny.
that's what I was talking about before, which is that everybody's got a good side to somebody, right? So, you know.
It's funny. I started to bring up. I'm gonna call them lure hits because just reverse those two.
Yeah.
Specifically because that's a great example, and I was like, you know what, that's a little bit too.
Well, I brought
edgy.
it up, but I just kept it.
Lure hits is a great example, right? And again, I stay away from those conversations because that's a whole nother rabbit hole you go down. But
I
that
think we're all in
is a good
agreement
point.
that something's
Yeah.
wrong.
Mm-hmm. But
Love you too,
this was a great
Patrice.
conversation. I had a lot of joy and discussing.
Joy.
Yeah, it was fun.
I feel joy. I'm a marshmallow. All right, where is Marshmallow? All right, guys. Anyway, thanks for seeing us. Thanks for being with us. We're going to see you guys next week. But if you need anything, hit us up on our Patreon or in the comments. We love you guys. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the engagement. 3.5 freaking hours. All right. Love y'all.
Peace.
Peace.